Kasalanan ko po. Yeah. sorry about that. I was shifting from phone to laptop, and then when I pressed leave, naputo lahat. Because
Kasi ikaw
I
yung
started
host.
it
Ikaw yung
here.
host.
Yeah, I started it here kasi sorry. Sorry.
It's alright.
Okay,
Continue.
but anyway, mas marami tayo. Okay, so nakahabol, no? So si Attorney Ahmed was telling us about the history of the libel distinction from the old scurrilous libel. And now we are moving into
Mhm.
the modern times when actually hindi na nga masyadong protected yung people in power, no? Nabaliktad na yung standard, attorney, di ba? What do you think? When before, it was
Oh,
for the protection of
teka
the
muna.
king and the
Tinetext
rulers.
ko muna si
Sino? Okay, anyway, I will just give a short...
si Trixie kasi baha daw yung opisina nila.
Sino?
Baha daw yung opisina nila, hindi makauwi.
Sino
Trixie.
sila? Oh, okay. That's
Sina
too
Trixie.
bad.
Sina Attorney
Yeah,
Trixie.
that's too bad. But let's hope that they have food there. Anyway, may
Oo
DSWD
nga.
naman na malapit sa London. No? We have to be wary kung nandito tayo sa ibang mga ng Metro Manila na madaling bahain.
We have to watch.
But in our place, we have to be prepared. Kasi in our place, fortunately, wala siya masyado ngayon. Pero kanina napakalakas ng ulan. Anyway, that case by Zenger was made against a newly established independent newspaper in New York. Parang si Rappler. And this newspaper attacked the governor of New York over and over through ridiculous commentaries and editorials. So he was that newspaper was sought to be closed down by the governor. And in that case, okay, the accused was able to show na yung mga sinasabi niya, although it was presented in a funny way, were all true. Okay? And really, that ruler or the governor of New York was actually very cruel and very shrewd. And all of those descriptions that were made about him by that newspaper were all true. So in that case,
Okay.
hindi siya napugutan. Because at that time, either life imprisonment or pugod yung mga nun, di ba? Sentensya. But at 1735, they were still under the colonial rule of Great Britain. That's why it's called the province of New York at the time. So this is actually an American case, but it was still a British case. All right. So we remember that day as the day when freedom of the press was born. Really. In reality.
Yesterday.
Okay. That was yesterday. No, actually today in America. It's today.
August 5 na yata ngayon eh.
5 na ba doon? 5 pa tayo ngayon dito eh.
5 diba? Na ngayon doon.
Yeah.
Sabi ni Luna.
5 na doon. Okay. Yup. So tuloy-tuloy ang ulan here in Manila. Fortunately dito sa atin, banda sa may east, where tapos na yung ulan. Okay. Anything else, Attorney, you want to add before we go back to the contentious lady of the night?
Yeah. Salamat kay Elmer Chumacera Moreno.
Mm-hmm.
Salamat ako kay Elmer.
Sana nakahabol yung ating mga friends from California. Nakabalik kayo, no? Sorry for that interruption. So I'll
actually 136 yung number of viewers. It's about the same. It's about the same.
Oh, yeah, right. Anyway, so as I was saying kanina, no, if you're in connecting through my page in Wandangkal and you see a reminder or reminder there to send some stars, huwag na muna. Kasi hindi namin nakikita ni Attorney Ahmed, oh. It's all parang tinatago siya ni Facebook or ayaw nila kung payagan. Kaya Gcash na lang. Ayan, Gcash. Anyway, we were in the 25 minutes, right? Okay, so from this point forward, you will hear her plans, what she intends to do. and this is what we really
mm,
need to listen to, be
mm,
critical about.
Here's a problem for America, I think. You think your institutions are strong. They're not so strong. And they've crumbled, not as fast as countries like mine, but they've crumbled. One. Two, you've had violence. January 6th was Silicon Valley sins coming home to roost. And three, many Americans still believe that, there's an exceptionalism, that we're not being manipulated. We're too smart. The smartest people the smartest people are the easiest to manipulate on social media. That there's a Mueller report. There's a 1,000-page follow-up Senate investigation. Impunity, nothing was done with this, right? That insidious manipulation. I think in 2016, 126 million Americans were, that's how many these information operations touched. And that released a virus of lies in your information ecosystem. That virus of lies infected real people, and those real people are among the ones who came out in Capitol Hill, right? So these are some of the...
Well, and we see here what you recorded
how does she
and
come up with that
investigated and proved in
conclusion?
the Philippines.
Okay. This is about the QAnon and the Breitbart and the claims that the elections were stolen. Okay, yung mga stop the steal. All right.
Mm,
At that time, those were actually legitimate political noise. Okay, but of course, now we know
yes.
as kumbaga, we are all genius in hindsight. Tama? But at that point,
Mm,
those were questions that were discussed by people on social media, right? And
mm.
as a politician who has not been, kumbaga, totally defeated yet because the winner has not been elevated, I think, okay, objectively, the the political noise in social media, even in media, we're all part of a
Valid. They are
democratic
legitimate.
process. Yeah, part of the
Yes.
democratic process. Yeah, and now,
Now,
well,
um,
they're so
sige,
genius.
sige. Go, go.
Yeah,
Continue,
if
continue, continue.
now from this point, which was made in June or July, no, this was published in July last month.
Mm,
Of course, iba
mm.
yung perspective mo knowing what really happened or what will
What
transpire after
happened?
that, right? Yeah. So
What
yun,
had
yun, yun.
happened?
That's what had happened and
Pero
what
ang
could.
tanong ko dito is this. While
Mm,
she talks about while she talks about this thing about America, like she has personal knowledge of this thing, like she was there, and
mm-hmm,
she's talking like she's conclusively positive that it is this is the right or the proper conclusion to make or the proper statement to
mm-hmm,
make about what happened in America at that time.
mm.
And then she segues to equivocating it with what's going on in the Philippines.
Yep.
No, what's going
Okay.
on in the U.S. does not have anything to do with what happened in the Philippines.
Okay. But okay, remember that the international perspective, which has been very well kumbaga framed by her and her friends in Reuters, in and their associated reporters and academe, that Duterte and Trump are one and the same kind of fruit from the same tree called populism.
Oh, but isn't
Okay.
that a stretch? That just because they are alike in some kind of supposed ideology,
Mm-hmm.
that they would be doing the same thing and that they would be they would be resulting in the same thing in their countries. I mean, that's
Well,
ridiculous. But this woman,
uh,
really, you just listen to her and what she says.
mm,
She's conclusive. She's absolutely sure of what she's saying, and that she's saying and what she's saying to her mind is the truth. She
yeah,
doesn't
and that
cite any source. She doesn't cite any finding by a Congress or
or
whatever as to what
yeah,
happened in the
correct,
U.S. So she
correct.
just says all of these things like it's the word of God. All right? Yeah.
Yeah, and let's not forget that she's also an American citizen. Okay, so she has a right to know and right to speak as an American. So I will shift to that there, and then we'll proceed.
Philippines to a remarkably granular extent. The small number of sponsored, intentionally disinformation sites and the influence they had through a web of connections in social media. So on the one hand, there are these intentional public manipulation campaigns that are sponsored and funded and organized. But on the other hand, the algorithms themselves foster polarization and siloization. In the Philippines, as an example, which is worse? Or how do they?
Wait. Okay, so they're talking now about two things. The algorithm, which is Resa's algorithm, I think. Okay, and on the second part, okay, they're talking about the organized bloggers, which they associate as government-sponsored disinformation. Now, I have seen a report that was made, an official report by a reputable institution in Europe. Okay, they made an assessment about these so-called organized stuff, and in the Philippines, they only found one allegation about yung kay si Ahmed would know this. Med, are you back? Okay. There is this group na binayaran daw ng $200,000, and supposedly that amount was enough to make Duterte win. Can you imagine? $200,000 is how much? 5 million? 5 million pesos lang palang kailangan para manalo ka ng presidente ng Pilipinas, while candidates spend billions and then they don't even win. So, yun lang yung nakita nila na may katunayan daw. And yung proof, when I looked at the source, it was just a tabloid in England that talks about this person. So, that was the most reputable report I've ever seen about this so-called thing that organized daw and funded yung tayo itong ini-exclude nila. Tayo daw ay organized and funded by the government. So now she's going to compare the two. Sige, let's see. Nahirapan siyang sagutin
work together.
Yeah, you can't say better or worse because it's a system. It's kind of in the same way that the reporting tells you that you look at content, but the content is the byproduct. So like polluted water, you can look at it, but you're not going to solve the problem by looking at polluted water. You have to go up to where the problems really lie, and that's in our problem is not free speech. It is the distribution of the lie. It's freedom of. It's Sacha Baron Cohen said this a long time ago to the ACLU. It is or Anti-Defamation League.
Sacha Baron Cohen is Borat, tama ba? Tama ba ako? So her source is Borat? Or si ano yan? No, si Borat yan. My name's Borat and I am from Kazakhstan. Okay? Okay, she's now saying that the problem is with the distribution, the free distribution of information. So that's freedom of the press. Actually, your access, my access to each other. That is the problem.
This is where he said it. It's like, it's not freedom of speech, it is freedom of reach. When the lie, literally, right, the algorithms spread the lies, and if it's laced with anger and hate, they spread it faster and further than the facts. So if you don't have facts, and these three sentences I've said numerous times over 6 years, without facts, you can't have truth. Without truth, you can't have trust. Without trust, there's no shared space. And that's part of the reason that you have.
Without trust, there's no condom now. But okay, we have debunked that thing that the truth cannot be made out of facts, because the truth can be represented by some facts, but never will the facts all. If you manufacture facts, they will never adapt into truth. Yep.
Of like, we've splintered all of our realities. I always say it's like social media, Facebook, which is the world's largest distributor of news globally, right? It's like two movies combined for me. You know, The Matrix. So we're like the battery that fuels that because it is our personal data. The Matrix meets The Truman Show. You know,
Truman Show?
who wants to spend their lives in that, right? How do you? So how does it work? Like, so you have like get out of.
Teka muna.
Oh, what? Yep. Go ahead. Yes. Oh, but pinost niya si Truman Show and then siya ang nag-post. Ay, nako,
Bakit
ayaw nga
nag-stop?
pagsalitin. Ikaw ang pinapastop
Play,
ni
play, play.
PLDT. Just your video, just your video.
This bottom part, which is
Nag-stop,
content,
nag-stop
right?
siya,
Move
nag-stop
out
siya.
of content and go upstream. That's the
Can you play
algorithms
that?
of amplification. What's an
Yeah, it's okay
algorithm?
to
It's
explain.
just opinion in code. It's like having one editor times a million, right? So the algorithms of amplification, what powers that is our data.
Tanggalin
And
ko na
that
lang yung
goes
video
all
ko.
the way up to where we should be talking. That's something Shoshana Zuboff called surveillance capitalism. And what is that? It's like it's taking a clone of you, you know, everything that you post on social media, taking these atomized, using machine learning to create a model of you. That model is a clone. Using predictive analytics, that model, that clone of you knows you better than you know yourself. And then that model, the companies say, we own it because we created it.
Okay, wait. Parang ano na to, you know? So you remember that movie by Tom Cruise, yung may precog. What is that movie? Yung they can actually anticipate that you're going to make a crime because they know you better than you. So is this what she's talking about? That the algorithm is now going to replace us as the okay.
And it's so troublingly, and from your presentations and elsewhere, it's clear that it's working both inside our own minds, in that our own sense of selves are changing, and also working publicly. Like I was struck yesterday, you were noting that the levels of reported trust have declined for the news outlets that are most objectively trustworthy and ethical.
Right.
Okay, we discussed this, right? So they saw this as a threat. Yung report, 'di ba? That the trustworthiness of the MSM is going down. That's why they have to react and they have to
So these
Okay.
campaigns are successfully
Yeah, yes. Pareho
selling-
yata tayo ng pindot eh. Nagpindot yata tayo ng play at saka
Pareho.
pause ngayon eh. Sabay.
Yeah. Sige. You have an opinion to add to that? Yung tungkol sa Amen. Go. Your turn. Ano ba to si attorney? Ipopost niya tapos hindi magsasalita. Hindi niya ata narinig. Let's just continue.
I knew this
Distrust.
personally, right? I knew this personally, but then take a look at Russia. So, you know, again, we are now living in, the nation states are gone and have been for a long time. We haven't figured out how to govern a global community. But in many ways, and here's the upside, here's the upside of social media. What it's shown us is that regardless of country, culture, language, the same system manipulates us all the same way. I mean, that means we have more in common than we all believe, right? So, but look at the. I know it's like we gotta find the upside, right? But Russia is your worst.
proletarians unite.
Well, what are our options right now, right? If you lose press freedom, you lose journalists, independent journalism, you've got Russia. So we already have an example of what that is. And how did we get there? I mean, this is both a combination of state media, of really collapsing independent media. And a Russian journalist actually was just
Okay, when she says independent media, that means her. Okay? And remember in our case, the Zenger case, that means Zenger. Okay? And the birth of freedom of the press is actually coming from this so-called independent media. She's right there, but she's just riding on that popularity, and now she's making up things. Mawawala daw yung independent media kapag dumami tayo. Kasi mawawalan sila ng saysay. Can I add you to the stream?
telling me he had just migrated to Germany 3 months ago, and he said, we lost. We always thought that we had a community, but he said we were like the frog in boiling water. So he said, independent media died. They're gone. Russians, that's why the alternate realities came from you guys. So anyway, Russia, Ukraine. Where's Ukraine? A journalist in Ukraine said, news is survival. Because when you're at war, when the world is so unstable, you need the news. They need to know where to get water, where to get fuel, where the bomb shelters, where will the bombs fall. But then you have like countries like us in the global south, the Philippines, which is fighting for its democracy, Hungary, which has replacement theory as well in its state ideology, Brazil, which will have elections. So these are, and then you have the United States. And you're not that far from that, I guess, is my fear.
And well-founded. All of those examples, plus India that you were also talking about,
India, yeah.
these are big, important countries that govern a significant portion of
the connection.
humanity.
Well, the connection to all of that is that democracies rely on elections. But if we've been insidiously manipulated before the elections, where's the freedom of will that allows us to select, to actually go to the polls, knowing that that our emotions haven't been manipulated?
Okay, again, okay, you see? What she's trying to say is to safeguard the next election, they should be able to stop all of these things that they consider noise or their competition in the minds of voters like you and me. And that's us.
You don't have that certainty.
Right.
And that's, I think, a lesson you can look at from the Philippines. Because our May 9th elections this year, which brought Marcos Jr. back to power, which brought the Marcoses back, shows you, I think, is emblematic of the problem. We watched from 2014, which is when we saw the first disinformation networks come out, changing history. Literally, our history was changed in front of our eyes. And Marcos, the pariah, became a hero, right? There were people in our poorer neighborhoods.
Okay, Ahmed, ikaw nag-post
Again,
yan.
here.
Magsalita ka. Yeah.
Yeah, itong sinasabi niya ngayon, she just suddenly drags Marcos into the fray without any basis, without any introduction or whatever. I think that this conversation is between a liar and a gullible person. This
No,
this
no.
guy who is hosting the show,
That guy knows this story already because if you've been following
is
Reza,
what? What is he?
no, this entire story of Reza is their narrative. They're a great team, all of them. Okay, so they know the story. This is their story. This is their version of the story. When I say
Yeah,
their,
well, yeah, I know, but
the pluralist elitist groups. Yeah, but you can go continue. Yeah.
yeah, well, I
Oh,
understand that. That is a safe
wait,
that is a safe assumption. But then,
wait lang.
if
Let's
you
just
just
address
watch
this.
this,
Yeah,
if you
ito.
don't have this assumption, or we don't
Yeah,
have this any background on who these people are,
yeah,
yun nga.
yeah. And yes.
Yeah, you have to watch.
All,
You have
all
to
of us,
watch it. We have to
all
watch
of
it because
us.
we have to
I
warn ourselves of what is coming up. Okay,
Yeah,
how we will be fooled
yeah. How
into
she's
doing
able
what
to
this
do all
woman
of this?
wants in this
Mm,
country. And please don't underestimate her because she is not alone.
yeah. The United Nations is giving her all of the credibility. Uh, well, Nobel Peace Prize with all its politics is already there, and academic institutions, media
Yeah, we need to know
institutions,
that.
they're reshaping the knowledge of the world
Yeah.
about
All
what's
right.
going on. So we cannot stop watching it. We have to know what she's saying because the world is listening to her, and we do not even know how to counter her.
Who literally believe that if they
Yes.
voted Marcos, they would get gold. They believe that. And so this is the problem that you have with all the elections around the world, with
Yeah.
your own midterms coming up. How do we protect democracy when the
How?
manipulation, that insidious manipulation already programs our emotions to vote for an illiberal leader?
we've been talking about the forms of manipulation, attention.
Go. Ikaw, Ahmed, you can go ahead and comment. Ahmed,
Okay.
go. I think si Ahmed wants to say something. Ahmed, tol.
Oh,
We
hold on.
have to, yeah.
Okay. Itong sinasabi ng ni Gadjo, hindi kami nag-aagawan ng mic.
Oh,
Napuputol kami. I can't hear
yes,
JP.
yes.
He can't hear me because ganyan.
Ano,
So para
time, ano.
kaming hindi namin alam kung sino nagsasalita.
Mhm.
Yan
So
yun.
just bear with us
Um,
because, ano. Okay, you proceed with your comment about this, Ahmed.
yes. Ito. She said that people here in the Philippines, especially those who had voted for Marcos and who made him win, the majority, meaning the majority, uh, she said the majority actually believe that if they voted Marcos, they will get gold. And then I know a lot of people who actually voted for Marcos and didn't even know about the gold. I mean, do you understand what this woman is saying? The ridiculousness of what she's saying, that she is reducing the democratic exercise of an election in this country into a people who believe in the promise of gold, and that people who happens to be the majority in this country are all like that. That they're
Mm.
idiots. They were made to believe that they will get gold if they voted for this president. That is what she's telling the world, that we are
Yeah.
idiots
And
believing in this treasure thing.
yeah, and we have to listen to this because this is what the rest of the world knows and you don't. Di ba? Pinagtatawanan tayo. This is the truth for them. Because no one is countering her. Actually, no one is countering her in the international scene.
Hmm.
Can we play?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, go.
Command that are affecting all of us, the creation of alternative facts upon which we can't rely and our institutions can't. But I don't want to lose the intimidation piece because that's something that you've experienced that most of us have not, as many challenges as we might face on screen. You and Rappler have been subjected to, from the presidential dais on down, to just relentlessly vitriolic and violent and misogynistic assault. Where is that coming from?
Ang hirap magsinungaling, no? You cannot, English speaking ito, ha? Di ba? Di ba? You cannot even bring out the words.
How has it evolved, and how are you coping?
2016 was the pivotal year when the political dominoes began
That
to
is a good
fall.
question.
Yeah. This is how she's coping. She's very relaxed. Because it's not true.
In May of 2016, Duterte
iyak ka
was
na.
elected.
Drama ka na.
You had Brexit follow about a month later, and then you had, Catalonia elections. You had President Trump elected that November. So the political dominoes.
Okay. Let's just situate it again.
Yeah.
Okay. The populists that they are against, okay, is Boris Johnson, Trump, Duterte, and even the one from Indonesia, the president of India, of course, Xi Jinping. Ito yung mga kailangan
Ah,
nilang
si Jinping.
pugutan lahat, okay? They want to remove all of these people and now includes Bongbong Marcos.
In 2016, when we began to do the drug war, the impunity series, and to put faces to names, we saw social media changing. We live on social media. I can feel the temperature shift. And in August of 2016, we actually started a hashtag No Place for Hate campaign because we began to see that that attacks on our feeds were intimidating, were meant to take a narrative out, right? Because most people, when you get pounded, you just like step out. And that is the strategy for both journalists, human rights activists, opposition politicians in countries like mine. Pound them to silence, these
And I think that's the natural
exponentialized-
response.
Okay, pound them to silence. This is what she's doing to us right now. All right, pound them with restrictions, pound them with suspensions, so that they will lose the interest in coming back to social media. Exactly what she's doing. Did anyone pound Rappler? Did you? Did the government pound Rappler unlawfully? Well, that's what she's trying to say.
To hide.
Yeah, except if you're a journalist. You don't hide what you do. I mean, in our end, what we learned is we tried to understand how and why. And that's when we began to map these networks. And, you know, when I was with CNN, I was with CNN for almost 20 years. And when I was with them, I looked at first link analysis and then network analysis of how terrorism, the virulent ideology behind terrorism spreads. I ran the bureau in Jakarta when 9/11 happened, right? The world's largest Muslim population in Indonesia. And I watched, like, how do people change their minds? Why would a young man become a suicide bomber? This is a virulent ideology. The crazy thing that I realized today is that that extremism.
Yes, she is a Filipino citizen, and we should stop spreading that Indonesian thing or the Malaysian thing. It's actually just deflecting us from the real issue. And for all we know, siya pa siguro yung nagpa-ikot-ikot niyang kwento na yan just to give us disinformation. More disinformation to throw against her, which she can easily deflect also because it's not true. So, this was a guy, okay. She's talking now about her expertise in terrorism. So they tout her as an expert in terrorism. I hope, Julius, you were answered, no? But evidently she is. Kinsa birthday ni Attorney Ahmed kahapon, but in the US, I think it's still his birthday today. So if you want to send something for him, ang sabi niya ay ipapadala naman tayo ng ano dito, Attorney.
Ipadala na lang kay JP.
Iglagay daw dito sa Gcash.
Padala na lang kay
kasi,
JP.
He wants to buy some things that we will need for this podcast to be better.
Has seeped into our politics.
Well, I was struck that in your second book you put Bin Laden and Facebook in the title together.
From Bin Laden to Facebook. But that's what I was seeing. And that was in 2010, 2011. Right? So what happened in the Philippines was there's almost like a cottage industry in kidnap for ransom. And it's a group called Al-Qaeda in the southern Philippines that was, a group called Abu Sayyaf that had an affiliation with Al-Qaeda. And one of the guys, a Filipino guy in 2011, speaking in Arabic, gets on YouTube and asks Muslim warriors to come to the Philippines for jihad. And then we get like Abu Sayyaf asking for ransom of the people they kidnapped, right? So the trends are there if we look for them. But the danger now is in our politics is that the very platforms that should be connecting us are literally dividing us. That's by design. So something simple, and I said this yesterday at the East-West Center, it's, how do these platforms grow? All the social media platforms use friends of friends.
Okay, now here we go. No, she's now attacking the social media. But okay, yung nagtatanong about candidate. Okay, maybe if you've not been following us, no, we are now suspecting that she's actually running her own political game here. Okay, not just her own, but
She's running her own campaign.
Yeah. And that is one of our next topics. What percentage of Nobel Peace Prize winners or awardees are actually presidents or senators of their countries? Okay, so let's continue now. She's attacking now the networks in social media.
It's an algorithm to get you to grow your network, right? But in the Philippines, and theirs. As you grow your network, they grow, right? So in the Philippines in 2016, we didn't debate the facts. But in 2016, with President Duterte's us against them, if you're pro-Duterte, you moved further right. If you're anti-Duterte, You moved further left. That's 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. And here's this chasm where you now don't see anyone. It's funny, it's built into the design of the platform, right? They only give you what you want. So maybe
Hold
we've
on,
all
hold on,
become
hold on,
lazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
hold
yeah.
on.
Go. You're
So,
expert
so,
there.
so now,
That's
so now she is saying that uh, Duterte has so much influence on Facebook that Duterte can actually flick his fingers and Facebook will do his bidding. And at the same time, we see during this 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020 na pati yung mga agencies ng gobyerno ni Duterte ay na suspend,
nababan.
nati-take down, nati-take down. So
Mm.
what is this woman saying? Um, she's
Yep.
just she's just saying contradictory things,
Mm-hmm.
and it's good that she's talking to foreigners because these foreigners are so completely ignorant of what's going on here
Yep. Yep.
because they are also victims of what Facebook has been doing, and
There.
little do they know, and little do we know that this woman is probably working with Facebook, the one she's accusing, doing all
Actually,
of
she
these things
is.
with Duterte. Because it
Actually,
doesn't,
she is.
it doesn't jive eh.
Yep. Yep. Tama.
Magandang gabi
And
po,
she is,
Sir
di
Ed.
ba? Okay. Uh,
Mm.
yep.
Continue,
And
continue.
we only get what we want. This is a debate I had with Facebook. It's like, so what? Like, if I want drugs, like, what happens to rule of law? What happens to harmful things that I want if I don't have the ability to actually withstand it? Because social media is mildly addictive.
Well,
Uses the same principles of
they have
casinos.
thousands of very intelligent software engineers and social psychologists trying to make it so.
Exactly. The goal is to capture your attention,
Right.
this attention economy, to keep you scrolling.
And they're, of course, very good at it.
But the problem is that this is a life of meaninglessness. And I worry about our kids today, right? This is the attention economy ultimately is by design fueling us with anger and hate. And when that happens, it turns into moral outrage. That's how it pops out, right? And moral outrage is a hop, skip, and a jump from mob violence.
Okay. Remember the tree of knowledge? Huh? The tree of knowledge. It's like what, like the tree of knowledge that she's talking about. The thing, the cell phone is the tree of knowledge. Na bawal kainin ni Adan at ni Eva. No? So now she's explaining that knowledge or this communication, this ability to criticize her or analyze her, if no one had this, then her lie could fly. Then whoever is in control of the media can control the truth. Except when there are people like us with access like this, and of course we are controlled now, we are restricted by them. At least we are able to talk to you. Most of you will forget what we said here or what we saw here. That's what they're relying on. The stupidity of the majority by simple control. Attorney Ahmed,
Yep.
online. Yeah, can you add to that?
Yeah, but exactly. When she says she's worrying about our children, I agree with her. She has
Hmm.
reason to worry because one, she has no children. Uh, she's talking about the children of the Filipino people that she is
Make a
selling
party.
out to
Hmm.
whoever, to maybe to the Americans or I don't know. But this
Yep.
woman, really, if you look at the facts that are endemic here in this country, where we
Where
can
our
actually
children live.
see the
Where our children
yes,
actually live.
they don't
Uh,
jive. They don't uh, they don't actually support what the hell she's talking about.
in
Except
fact,
that, you know, all the things that she says are believable
hmm,
because they are coherent with all the things that has said before, and all these people that listen to her are really just expecting her to say those things. So
Mhm.
they will readily believe her. But we are the ones who can compare the stuff that she says and the
With
facts as
reality.
we perceive in this country.
Oh.
Yes, she's lying, and we have to tell the world about her lies.
Yeah, and the children that she's worrying about, maybe she's worried about having no children to exploit in the future. The stupid ones who cannot even think of what is right or wrong or what is due them or what this country is all about. Yun yung kanyang worry siguro. Mawawalan sila ng trabahador na madaling mauto.
Mob rule.
Ang gusto niyang
Mob
Mob
rule.
children,
rule.
ang gusto niyang
Mob rule.
children
These were
ay yung
things
mga
that
children
we
na tanga.
Yep. Walang alam. Oh,
Yeah,
like we
yeah. Ang
know,
gusto niyang children ay yung mga children na
walang
aasa
alam.
lang sa aasa lang sa isang grupo na magsasabi sa kanila kung ano yung totoo,
Oh, na sasabihin
na
na, okay,
magsasabi sa
gawin mo
kanila
to.
kung sino ang
Yan.
susundin.
Ang sweldo nyo dapat ganito lang.
Yan.
Oh, yan.
Yan yung gusto niya children.
Ang karapatan nyo ganito
Mm.
lang. Huwag
Okay,
kayong
go.
magreklamo. Good children.
avoided because you lose individual
Yan.
responsibility and accountability in it. This is the world we live in today, and this emergent human behavior, I'm so worried about our
So,
future.
what is to be done? These multinational conglomerates, Facebook chief among them, have become the primary purveyors of information worldwide. Pressuring them to do the right thing seems to
doesn't
me a
work.
pretty hard
Yes,
uphill road. What are your thoughts? Can it be regulatory, anti-monopoly segmentation, or do we need
There.
kind of new global governance
Global
structures that we
governance.
haven't yet devised?
Yes.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Inom lang ako ng
maganda
tubig,
kasi
ha?
dito sige. Ang maganda dito sa sinasabi ni Maria Ressa is that she can cite all the enemies of those people whose freedom, democracy is threatened. So she is like us. We can say the same things, we can accuse the same people and the same companies, but the difference is that she has no people. She has the entire population of ignorant people belonging to other countries, not to our country, and those are her audience, and those are the people she wants to convince or to persuade to make our policy for our own country. She is asking the Americans and these Hawaiians to believe her because what she wants to do with our country is the right thing to do. And her people, which is us, because when she says our people are the Filipino people, she's talking about us. But does she really have a people? This is the question. Because if you are a part of this country's citizenry and you do not get up and get out of your ass and stand up and tell the world that no, I am not being represented by this woman when she says my people.
Yeah, and then this is the problem, no, Lisbeth, no. Yes, we know she's not telling the truth, but these things that she's saying abroad, it's affecting all of us. You know how? It's affecting our trade. It's affecting our credit rating as a country. It's affecting the ability or the propensity of foreign investors to come to our country and invest here because they believe that here there's no freedom, there's no justice here, there's no free press here. So how can they expect to be treated fairly if they open a business here? And she's been saying this not just to this person, huh? This has been running. There are so many of these videos, and most of them are not even on YouTube. But I get to read the transcript of those talks that she makes about this almost the same subject since 2017, hundreds of them. And this has reached the ears and touched the hearts and now resides in the mind of policymakers worldwide. So it's not easy to just say, let her be.
So in the Nobel lecture, I actually said this is a moment. It's this technology, and I'll quote a biologist who looked at emergent behavior in ants, actually, and he said that the greatest crisis. This is E.O. Wilson. He said the greatest crisis of our times is our Paleolithic emotions, our medieval institutions, and our godlike technology.
Wait, wait, wait.
Ginagawa na tayong ants ngayon.
Yes. Do you know that in the Facebook community standards, comparing people with animals or lowly creatures, and this time it's not even just one person, but all of us as ants, entire population as ants.
Jumping off of that, what do we do with where we are today? Our Paleolithic emotions. This is a thinking fast platform. Imagine if when news organizations were the gatekeepers, we actually manipulated your emotions. You can argue that television to a degree, right? It's a craft in many ways, but to a degree, a journalist is in charge of what you can see in the frame. Look at the way the light is behind me. You can do that. But we all see the same thing. So now there's like no standards and ethics in the manipulation of our emotions.
Whoa! After admitting that you've been manipulating us when there was no social
Through
media,
TV.
through the TV and
Pero
through
meron
the
daw rules.
mainstream media, now,
Meron daw rules
now,
noon.
oh,
Meron daw
may
rules noon
ethics,
pag
may
manipulate
ethics,
niya.
may ethics daw.
Meron daw.
Whoa, come on there.
Our institutions haven't evolved enough to protect us from this. And yet, in some areas like genetics, for example, the CRISPR technology, which is genetic technology where we can essentially customize a baby. We can do that now. We can take a baby in the womb and decide, all right, we're going to give it blue eyes but black hair. Or I don't know if you can really do that, but I'm just saying, you know what the real world did? They put guardrails on CRISPR technology. But the guardrails to the technology that manipulates our mind and our emotions, there's been no guardrails there. In fact, Section 230 of the 1996 Communications Decency Act holds them liability free, holds its impunity for what it delivers to you. So what are we going to do? In the Nobel lecture, I said this is an atom bomb that exploded in our information ecosystem, and that the world needs to come together in new ways to protect us from this, right? The United States, these are largely American companies, except TikTok, which is far more addictive, and those algorithms are scary, right? So yes, global structures, but I tried to take a look at what we each can do right now, right? So in the long term, it's going to be education. And it's not going to be media literacy. Those are all, media has changed. So it's not even that. So first is education. Critical thinking.
Education?
Critical thinking is a very easy thing. When you learn that,
Easy?
you can apply it anywhere. Medium
Really?
term, legislation. Stop the impunity. We only live in one world.
Stop the impunity.
Online violence is real.
You know what
Wait.
impunity is? You know what impunity is? Committing a crime and not getting punished for it. You committed a crime, you committed a
And you don't
crime of
want to be
libel,
punished
and
for
you
it.
don't want to be punished for it. That is impunity.
Okay. Ito nagiging klaro na yung plano niya. First, she establishes that the social media platforms do not have ethics anymore. They don't have rules that would bind them to something that is still good, that is still right for people. Okay? So now, she enters and proposes na kami ang maglalagay ng rules. Okay? Kami yung maglalagay ng rules para bumalik uli ang trust ng mga tao sa social media at saka sa media itself. But then, in reality, what she's doing, wants to take over these platforms, not to protect the people, but to advance her own belief of what
Yeah.
should be
The truth.
protecting the people. What
Yeah.
should be protecting the people and how and in what way. So ang sinasabi nito ni Reza, nakikita namin, ang Facebook walang batas. Kahit sino-sino na lang nagsasabi dyan, which is, by the way, the state of nature of democracy. That is democracy in its essence. Sasabihin niya, there is no rules. There are no rules in Facebook. So,
Mm.
we want to go into Facebook. First pala, we want to vilify Facebook as the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is oppressing the people of the Philippines, my people, sinasabi niya. So, kailangan nating rendahan itong Facebook kasi nagiging robots na to, mga ants na tong mga tao sa Facebook, sa
Mm.
Pilipinas. So we want to get in and we want to impose our rules on Facebook. And that's already what they're doing here. Facebook can't even do anything
Yeah,
about what
now.
Rappler and Vera Files are doing to her supposed people. Okay,
Mm.
so kita na natin na she wants to enter in there, first vilifying her friend Facebook, and now apparently dominating Facebook in order to place its her own beliefs and her own ideology
Standards. Her own standards, her own
uh,
ideology, her own
yes,
ideas as the
into our
gatekeeper.
own into our own in this country. Okay, because
Uh,
isipin nyo, ang mga tao na nakikinig sa kanya, na nagpapaniwala sa kanya, they won't fall for what she's talking about. They know better. They know that
yep.
Maria Ressa is saying bullshit, and if you did that to Americans, we're gonna remove all your hair from your body. But
Mm.
because these people know better, and they say, yeah, you can do that. You can definitely do that to those Filipinos because
You know
they
why?
are, yeah,
Because we are monkeys with no tail.
white. There you go.
World violence. Online impunity collapses the checks and balances in the real world, collapses rule of law in the real world. And we've seen this already, right? I mean, the United States is struggling right now with and we're watching the January 6th committee. That's the medium term. The EU is ahead of the United States. In spring next year, the European Democracy Action Plan has passed two laws. It's the Digital Services Act and the Digital Markets Act, so commerce and content. But they're not regulating content, they're regulating the algorithms, and I hope the business model. In the short term,
Wait. Okay. Ano yung Digital Markets Act? Do you know about the Digital Markets Act? I know about the other one. And now she's talking about regulating. Okay, she's all now talking about regulating the content. All right. Regulating content is nothing more than or nothing less than censorship. And you are asking whether she lives in the Philippines, and I think okay, hold on to that idea because we will be presenting something like that, something about that. Okay, so she pretends to promote democracy, yet suggests that people are incapable of making choices for themselves. Don't you see? Okay, where are you from? I really want to know. Huh? This is not a normal comment from a person of your age. Okay, if that's your picture, because your age, uh, if you're from the Philippines and you are that young, you're probably on her side. And okay, itong sinasabi niya, dangers and everything. Remember, a lot of our Atenistas and our UP students, they're all thinking like her. And not only that, professors also. So she's not alone. OMG, aliens are taking over the world. They're not aliens. Unfortunately, they're not. Okay, listening to her irritates me so. Yeah, me too. Kaya nga, di ba? If you got this invite from the other, amlodipine is required here. Rain, well, this is what she really wants to take control talaga. Okay, now let's see where it goes.
is where we are having an emergency. And it isn't just the battle for facts, the battle for a shared reality. Frankly, like Hawaii understands climate change, right? We in the Philippines understand climate change. Since 2013, we're the third most disaster-prone country around the world. And yet climate change stories can't get any distribution. So we are in an existential moment, not just for our societies, but for our world. What do we do in the short term? And this is part of what we've experimented with. We failed in the Philippines, but
It
you know,
doesn't seem like you've
Experimented it and we failed in the Philippines. Okay.
failed. It seems like Rappler is kind of a model. You've survived.
so we try. I guess what I'm
And
saying
I'm
here
wondering,
is,
could some of the structures of resilience and truth-telling and independence and the business model for it that you've set up be replicable
yes,
elsewhere?
Replicable elsewhere. Okay, this is what we have always been saying. Okay, the Philippines being the biggest social media uh, users in terms of percentage, no, to population, is an experimental ground. And she just said that we've been experimenting in the Philippines and we failed. Is this where Romidjar's money was supposed to go, or the MDM's money you didn't pay taxes for? And then the concern of the, of course, the academy is to replicate the whole thing. It's a science, because science means it's replicable. Nice, very
In
I
this
think,
difficult.
ecosystem.
so look, what we learned, and I think the struggle for anyone who wants to protect democracy is there needs to be a new model for civic engagement. Because in the end, that's what it is, right? And it has to be a whole of society approach. In our case in the Philippines, for the May 9th elections, we pulled together a 4-layer pyramid. We called it hashtag Facts First PH. You need social media. You need traditional media. The bottom layer were 16 news organizations.
Okay, wait. This is so important. Listen to this.
Yan na naman siya.
Okay, no. This is the model, Med, na I was talking to you about that. I read this somewhere else. Actually, uh, sorry. I just want to be fair. Kami ni Ahmed, when we stopped watching it, we didn't watch further. We're also watching this for the first time. Itong part na to. Okay, I read this somewhere, and this is her model. Okay, honestly, I never got to this part.
That had never worked together. The second layer, we called it the mesh. That's civil
So the first layer is 16 news media outlets in the Philippines, and the second layer now is the mesh. Okay, what is this mesh?
society, NGOs, human rights groups, environmental groups, the church, business groups.
Yun yung mesh. NGOs, civil society, business groups, and ano. So now from the news media, mesh means parang filter to, no? The filter is the civil society. Oh, ito yung mga sumisigaw na ano, katips.
Anyone who cares, right? And their task really was to protect the facts, to share these really boring fact checks with emotion. See, and to stay away from anger and hate, like inspiration spreads as well. The third layer were the academic research groups. We pulled 7 research groups together, including Rapplers. We had a data pipeline of what was happening, and every week we told our Filipinos exactly how they were being manipulated and who was gaining, who was benefiting, who was the target, who was losing. And then the layer 4, the top of the pyramid, was the most important one, the lawyers, legal groups.
The lawyers, the legal groups. The lawyers, okay. The last one. Okay, let's see how she describes the last one.
From left, right, and center working together, and they were the most energized because they filed tactical and strategic litigation. That's what they did.
Tactical and strategic litigation.
Yeah.
Isn't
About
that
that, about
weaponizing
that,
the law?
about that.
Isn't that weaponizing the law?
No.
Weaponizing the courts?
Yeah. Let's
Strategic.
talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Oh, okay, go.
Because lawyers,
Mm.
that comment about lawyers,
Mm.
they have no lawyers. She has no lawyers. Her lawyers have sent her to jail. Her lawyers can't even defend her. Right?
Are you talking about Theodore T? Theodore
Okay,
T?
and all her lawyers.
Sige.
Okay, and next,
Okay.
next. Ask how many lawyers, how many blogger lawyers she got suspended on Facebook.
Hmm.
Number 3, they filed tactical cases and ganito ganyan and petitions that they never won. They did not win any of those stupid cases that they filed. See? You know why? Because the lawyers that she's talking about are just about four of them. One of them is Lenny Robredo, whose mind is blank. Uh,
Uh-huh.
how can you expect a tactical case you filed to win? You can't even get your lawyer to exonerate you in your own libel case.
But she has lawyers in her bag. Even in Rappler, lawyers are working as a reporters. Huh? I know one. At least one is a daughter of a friend, or not really a friend. I know someone. Someone's daughter is working in Rappler, and she's a lawyer. And she blogs just like her, talks like her, weaponizing the law. And talking about weaponizing the law, this is weaponizing the law. Filing tactical cases. Oh my God. Ano ba sinasabi dito? Reza
You
is
know what?
obviously not working
You know
independently.
what?
She's a tool of an international power that's using and perpetuating a complex propaganda agenda and that seemingly aims to subvert authority of the Philippine government and our democratic system. You got it, sir. You got it, sir. Heck, Reza is not. Really, she is. She is. No, but in spirit, she's not. I agree. Whose
Yeah.
priority is promoting and upholding Philippine interests? Yeah, she's not upholding Philippine interests, or maybe her interest in the Philippines. We do not know. Reza clearly appears to have only just done Filipino citizenship so that she could conveniently pursue U.S. interests in our country and in Asia Pacific. I'm not even sure if it's U.S. interests that she's pursuing, no? Kasi obviously she's attacking the same
I like
system
this
because
guy.
where is it? Yeah.
I like this guy.
Mangleo, please stay with us. We need more of you. We need more of you. We need your inputs. In fact,
Oh,
you can uh, you can stay with this community. We are very nice people here. Ang dami natin dito. Okay.
hold
Hold
on,
on.
hold on.
Yeah. Go, go.
Weaponizing the law is really a very misleading statement. You know why? Because the law is the only weapon that the state has to protect itself. Okay? The state cannot use guns to protect itself. It uses the law. Okay? It uses the law to be its weapon. Guns are just the tools. What is the weapon of the government? What is the weapon of the state and of the sovereign people? Is the law. And this woman says that using the law is weaponizing it, and that is wrong. That is illegal. That is bad. And it should be changed. She wants a system where the laws are subservient
To
to
her
some group or
desire.
some ideology that she is advancing in this uh,
Mm,
in this tirade that she is doing. Okay,
mm,
she wants the law to be submissive to something else. The
mm.
law for democratic people is the pinnacle of things. It is the right thing. It's the statement of the state that can never be wrong because
Yeah.
it's a logical thing. It's a spiritual thing. But this woman can conceive of a law that is wrong because it is a weaponized law.
Yeah.
This woman
And
is just completely lying to these Americans.
well, even to the American, because her her thinking or her ideology doesn't even coincide with the normal American understanding of what
Anyone?
democracy in society is. Anybody from the United States here can verify that is not an American kind of thinking.
Yeah.
This is different. Ang tama si Manong, no? Si Sir Leo. She's not independent.
Yeah.
It's an international power. It's something else. And we need to be looking at this guy, at this girl, and all people working with her. She talks of the academe, she talks of the business, she talks of churches, she talks of the media. There's 16 media entities here in the Philippines. She just named them, or she just gave us a clue there. But have you ever seen Reza appearing anywhere here in the Philippines? Or even in her cases, na may media person na nasa tabi niya. Have you ever seen that? Never. Me, no. Huh?
I mean, we'll try to continue,
Coffee
and
for?
we'll see what it's like.
Coffee for?
Power, when you have as much power as some leaders have, they don't want to be constrained. And so they don't want the checks and balances. I mean, it's so interesting that right before President-elect Marcos, right before President Marcos becomes president, I get a shutdown order.
The
It's
day
2 days
before.
by America. Yeah, by Manila standards, it's 2 days
Liar.
before. So it's like kind of the dying gasp of the Duterte administration. But then again, keep in mind, Marcos is president, Duterte is vice president. Sara Duterte, the daughter.
Right.
It's the next generation coming up, right? And I guess that's the other part. Will we? Look, I see two ways we can go, and either way I'm okay, right? In some ways. This is Madeleine Albright who first really used the word fascism in her book. It's a 2018 publication. She wrote about fascism, and you know, she said that
Fascism has
that
been
what's
there
hap-
forever.
Wait. She's talking about fascism in 2018. My God, she's not.
That is the
Maybe
first time she heard of fascism being talked about by a politician.
by Albright, not by by
Yeah.
historians. Okay, sige. Pagbigyan natin. Ano sasabihin niya?
happening around the world today is like a chicken whose feathers are being plucked one by one. I took it out of, for me, the phrase I used is death by a thousand cuts, right? It was the way a
Pause. Silence. Hinga. Hinga muna tayo, hinga. Amlodipin, anyone? Inom muna tayo ng tubig. Okay? The longer I listen to this, yeah. You know, we really stopped when we stopped last time. We stopped and then we didn't touch this material. And now, I know. It's really, really hard. Ito si gusto ko tong marinig si Sir. No? Changed my mind. She's not an alien. I like this guy. I like this guy. Yeah. Um, the longer I listen to Reza, the more I am inclined to believe in all in an elitist group whose aim is to rule the world, a new world. Okay, I don't even think it's a new world order. Okay, the new world order
Yeah.
has been associated with the Masons. If you let the Masons
Oh,
listen to this, they will be vomiting.
disgusted.
Uh, yeah, because all our heroes, okay, Rizal, all of them,
Ginaldo.
and go to the history of South America. They were all initiated by Masons. That was the new world order. This is the new world order they were fighting for. This democracy that we have, diba?
Yes.
Now,
What Reza is fighting
what she's
for is
fighting for?
something else.
It's something else. We really need to know. This is a new thing even for us. Si Ahmed is a philosopher. Ako, I'm a nobody. Okay, but you
He
know,
is an economist.
yeah, I've never encountered something like this. Pati si
Yes.
Ahmed, never. This
Never.
is a new ideology, and she's been running around. And okay, obviously, you have the Nobel Prize with her, and it's a politicized thing. Okay, the Nobel is a politicized award. It's not a fair award.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Absolutely.
it means something, huh? And the UN also gave her just last year an award which all recognize what she's saying here as the truth.
Yeah. Mamaya,
asymmetrical
mamaya,
warfare of Al Qaeda.
Oh, sige.
mamaya. I want to end with end this live thing, no? With
Konti
a
na lang.
oh, with a call to, yeah, tapusin natin to, but
Oh,
by at the end of this I will be making a call to action. A call
yep.
to action to do something. All of us here, we begin to do something that is very simple. Just post it on your walls. You know, every single one of us, there are 151 of us right now, 148 now.
Mhm.
Just post a very short statement that we
Yep.
will post every day. We can post it first thing in the morning, and then change our status during the day to what we want. But we have to
Sige.
post it
Stories yan.
once
Sa stories
every
natin
other
ilalagay
day.
sa stories.
Yes.
Sige, sige,
That's the
sige.
way they
Yes.
attacked Americans a thousand
Sasabihin
times.
natin na mamaya
And
na. Mamaya ko na
Oh,
sasabihin.
mamaya na. Patapusin lang natin tong
Mamaya na.
GG na to.
you bleed out from those thousand cuts. We're there. It's this moment now where globally more illiberal leaders are being democratically elected and they're caving institutions from within. And you just have to remember that Hitler was democratically elected, right? And he used us against them.
course
His version of replacement theory, which I am shocked is in America, right? Like,
Has always been, but
but given distribution, and here's the
Right.
difference, right?
but now it's public discourse acceptable.
And these algorithms bring that, if you are susceptible to that, they look for you. If you're if you're 14 years old and on YouTube, the content, you don't have to search for it. It comes to you,
Right.
looks for you. This is dangerous.
These are dangerous times. We are fortunate to have you helping lead us. I know you were born in Manila, grew up in New Jersey, have had most of your career in the Philippines and Southeast Asia, but they recently named an auditorium after you at your high school. And I was wondering and I know they gave you a bracelet
Yes.
you were telling me about, and I was wondering if you could read the Shakespearean quote that
Oh
they
my gosh,
put on
this was so funny. So first of all, and I wear it because Mrs. Thornborough was my sophomore English teacher, and it was funny because this was in May, and I went to Toms River, New Jersey, right after the Buffalo shooting, and his 180-page manifesto he names Toms River because Toms River has a growing Hasidic community, right? Toms River, where I grew up, it was like I grew up at a time of such innocence. And then the day after the naming of the auditorium was the Uvalde shooting. So what is happening to America? And I think these are symptoms of the same problem. But sorry, let me go. So I wear it. I do wear it because it reminds me, there's this T.S. Eliot quote of the present moment of the past. It's tradition and the individual talents. As the latest novel you read is affected by the fact that you read Shakespeare. And the way you appreciate Shakespeare is affected by the latest novel you read. So in the present moment of the past, this reminds me of the present moment of the past. She was 82 years old. She's 82 years old, and she gives me this bracelet. First time I see her in 40 years, right? And the first thing she says is, gives me this little package, and she says, "Take it out." And then, she said, "Read it." My classmates were around me at that point. "Though she be but little, she be fierce." And then she said, "What Shakespearean play is that from?" What Shakespearean play is that from? I get a pop quiz right away from Mrs. Thornborough, right? And it's, what Shakespearean play is it from? It's from A
I know
Midsummer.
it's Midsummer Night's
You
Dream.
do?
That's because I looked it up. I didn't know it.
Yeah. And it's, anyway, that's the way she said it. So it's the present moment of the past has changed for me. And I look at the last 40 years and how America has changed. That's what my visit to my high school did for me. And I want Americans, we should do better.
We can.
We should
You are
do
mighty
better,
and
as
fierce.
Americans. We should do better.
I believe. Thank you so much for your courage, your insight, your work.
It's not me. It's not me.
And all of
This
the-
is going to be a person-to-person battle for our democracy. So please,
Yeah, and all of us have to take from
Yes.
this example.
Thank you.
But thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Robert.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This has been a production of the Better Tomorrow Speaker Series.
Thank
We
you,
have
God.
Maria here in town, thanks to the East-West Center. She was here for their International Media Conference. We're talking to you from the College of Social Sciences Digital Studios, and BTSS is a joint venture of the Hawaii
Let
Community
him finish.
Foundation, Kamehameha Schools, and the University of Hawaii. I'm Robert Perkinson. Thank you for joining us. we'll be talking with you again soon, and mahalo.
Mahalo, malo. Wait. Okay. We will play that. Wait. Don't take it off because for the sake of uh, copyright and stuff, and we have to be respectful to these people. We have to thank this person
Of
for
course.
bringing this information to us, because without him, without this University of Hawaii, we wouldn't be able to witness this travesty of our own democracy and our own society. So thank you, University of Hawaii. Thank you, United States of America, for giving us this information about this girl in this most recent information, because we cannot do hate speech. It's the worst thing you can do right now in social media. So we have to thank them. Thank mahalo. Okay, let's just
Mahalo.
play it so that
Mahalo.
we can give them due credit.
Play.
Okay,
Play.
yeah, University of Hawaii. Yeah, all of these people who made it possible for us to hear it for a better tomorrow. Yes, thank you. I hope we will have a better tomorrow knowing this stuff. Okay. Okay. Now, having that exhausting thing to watch over. Med, can we join you there? Okay. Um, ano muna lang natin. Let's just recap the whole thing, and then now we have seen how devious this this is. She a person or a thing? I think she referred to us as an ant, diba? She referred to us as ants. Okay, let's call her back as what's better than an ant? We cannot call her lower than
An
us.
anteater.
An ant eater or a grasshopper, maybe a grasshopper.
Yeah.
Diba? The ant and the grasshopper. Oh, the best.
Okay.
Okay.
Yan na lang.
Now, all right, because as she calls ants, she's the grasshopper. Okay, now this grasshopper, as I was telling that girl kanina, no, whether she's a Filipina and she's Sheridan, she's saying that she is born in the U.S. I read something that I read something that she's not born in the U.S. Okay, she's born here, and she's really a Filipina, and her parents are Filipinos, and you can go find it in Verifiles. Verifiles has published something about her.
Another very truthful group.
Yes, but you can trust Verifiles, okay? To say the most verifiable truths about Maria Ressa, and they reveal the real names of her parents,
Very
which
truthful group.
okay, which sabi she has been keeping for years because Duterte is after her. Oh my God, she's been working in the Philippines since 1986. So she's been keeping that information from everyone else since 1986 because Duterte will be after her in 2016. And then they will reveal it actually in 2019 who are her real parents. So okay, fine. So you go to Verifiles, find that out. They have a file on that. Even her even her school, it's there. She's a Filipino. Ano pa ba? Okay,
She
now,
probably has dual citizenship
yeah, she has
because
dual
she did
citizenship
refer to herself. She did refer to herself at the end of that clip
as American.
as we Americans should do better.
Yeah, she's
So, well,
entitled to
there
say
it
that.
is.
She's entitled to
Of
say
course,
that. Diba? She's entitled to
because
say
she's
that.
American citizen also.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not the issue. The issue is that when she said Hitler was democratically elected, that is not exactly correct because in 1933, when Hitler was appointed chancellor, he started this really evil campaign, very much like what Maria Ressa is doing right now.
Mm.
That that to rig the election so much that the people who are so brainwashed by Hitler could not do anything else but vote for Hitler. That is what she's doing to us. When she said Hitler was democratically elected, she's like saying Ressa was also democratically elected. And that is exactly what she's doing.
I'm gonna discuss this itong sinasabi ni Oseng. No? I'm sorry if I called you very young because you look very young and you're 43. And if you're
She's
43 and you
she's
look like that,
okay.
you're good. Okay. Now you're saying there are many races globally and wants to stay relevant. All right. In fact, you can help us if you have if you have some information that
Information.
we don't know right now, because soon we'll find it out. Uh, Honestly, it's been only how many months have we been focusing on this? Maybe 2 months, because we never really noticed how serious this was. This threat, we never saw her as a threat. We just saw her as a nuisance, but as a threat. Ngayon lang, when we look closer. So if you have
Ayun lang.
more detailed info on who else are the Resas in the world, that would help us better identify who is supporting all of them, because we now see the connections, the web of support. So yeah, Reuters is there. Reuters, Thomson Reuters. You're in England, okay? I can go straight to Thomson Reuters is a very very big supporter of Reza, and even in their reporting, they were very supportive of the impeachment of the Chief Justice Corona. You can look at their reporting on that impeachment. They were so supportive of it. They were so hopeful that it will pass through. And when it came to the impeachment of Sereno, they were so against it, just like what
Yes.
Reza did. Okay, so they don't really care about the concepts of impeaching chief justices or what. They want people out of government. They
Democracy,
they toss them out.
fairness, justice, wala siyang ganyan.
Nothing. Thomson Reuters. Thomson Reuters. We know you now. Okay, you're a disappointment to me, Thomson Reuters. I trusted you. Okay, now if you have some information, you know how to contact us. You can PM us anytime. We are not hard people to get in touch with.
Well,
Okay.
I may be a very hard person to get in touch with because my internet has been brought to hell.
Maayong hapon. Oh,
Ngayong hapon, Michelle.
Oh, yeah. Spain. Hola, 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 hola. Buti pa itong Spain. Spain has
Wala.
been a victim of all of their lives. Okay, yung
Yeah.
dating sa akin, okay, sinabi ni Rez about Hitler having been democratically elected, ibig ba sabihin yan doon, kahit pag democratically elected yung isang public official, pag di nila approve, dapat pababain by hook or by crook. Yes, yes. As I was
Yes.
saying kanina, yung
Yes.
whenever they brand someone as a populist, and yan, si Hitler was one populist leader in their
Mm.
categorization. Duterte was a populist. She has already started. Kumbaga, it's no longer even a question whether Bongbong is a populist, because he is now assumed to be a populist. Okay, who are the other populist leaders that they have listed here in the country? It was Erap, was another populist. Look at Erap. Erap was out in the third
Duterte.
year. Duterte was just able to survive, but Erap was out. Okay, they have a list of populist leaders, what time, what year. There is actually a chart of populist leaders. Find it out. There's you can find it. So yung kanilang is, if it's a populist leader, we do not care how you remove that person constitutionally or what. We don't care. They don't care.
Ayan,
Yan.
filter. Hinahanap mo. Ayan ang filter.
Yan yung second level, yung businesses, church, NGOs, activists, and ano yan? Yung mga yung mga advocacy
Business
groups.
leaders.
Mm.
Mm.
And sila daw yung
Okay.
magpapatotoo na yung fact check ay may buhay, may buhay. Okay.
Oh, hindi
Suggestion.
batas. Hindi batas. Ayun, suggestion na yan. Pinakita ko na sa kanya yung filter ko ng mic ko dito.
Oo. In fact, ito si JV Pence, he's been saying what I'm also been saying to you. Your voice is overmodulated. And ang problem namin actually, JV, no, technically, is we don't have any monitor of our sound. Ito kasing parang one way itong app na ginagamit namin. It's not a duplex thing. It's a simplex. So when I speak, I don't hear myself. I can only hear when he speaks. Ito si JV is a technical person. Yeah, we know our technical issues.
And also, the modulation of voice sometimes, well, all the time, is affected by the transmission of the signal. Yung transmission ko kasi putol-putol. So sometimes bumibilis ito, lumalakas, minsan mabagal, humihina at
Mm.
napuputol. So ganyan yung resulta niyan pagka hindi smooth yung transmission ng signals because My signal really is just dismal.
Okay. Really, YouTube, you have a very nice point here. In fact, okay, if any one of you is an SEO or knows some SEO stuff, okay, kami we just know the concept, we don't actually do it, no? If you can please provide us information about the traffic of Rappler, where it's coming from, who reads it and whose stuff, because yeah, you're right. In the Philippines, nobody reads them. But, meron pala. In the
Verafiles.
Philippines, no, 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 no. In the Philippines, they are authority to Congressman Lagman. And
Excelsior.
Congressman, yes, Edsel Lagman, the great lawyer. Sipin mo, ha? They use Rappler evidence versus AFP evidence in questioning martial law.
Mm.
Wow,
Imagine that.
you cannot imagine how condescending the Supreme Court's decision was. Read it. The martial law in Mindanao decision. They were so confident with their Rappler evidence. Okay, but aside from them, nobody. Yes, you're right. But who is supporting them? Okay, that is the question. And right now, there's no
We don't
advertisement.
know.
Right now, there's no advertisement there, but it's still up, and they're still working. They're still functioning. So there's funding for this kind of stuff. And yun yung sinasabi, follow the money. But how can you follow the money when the oligarchy is in charge of the banking industry? Oh, how about you? React.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Really, I believe that money is what is pushing her and her agenda onwards, even if they it doesn't appear anymore that she can source that money here in this country.
mm,
And she blames the government, or no, not the government, but the president alone, because the government does not exist to her. It has imploded according to her. It has broken down. The institutions don't exist. There are uh, there are no
crumbled.
laws anymore. Yan yung paniniwala niya. And I think that she is saying that only to justify her impunity. Because if she really believes in the rule of law that she keeps talking about, he should probably obey the law and go to prison for the crime that she committed. But no,
Mm.
at in the same breath, she says there is no more rule of law, and in the in the same time, also enjoying that there is no more rule of law because she's
By
still out and
making
about.
and then by making a strategic legal attacks on people. Huh? That is her
What
idea
she's
of
doing, di ba,
rule of
is
law.
hypocrisy. What she's doing is hypocrisy, but to her, the word hypocrisy doesn't mean anything because she belongs to a group that is the anointed by God. They are the group of people, the elitists, the elite, in fact, are the ones that are appointed by God to be the gatekeepers of this world, of this country. But then, she can't fool the Americans. The Americans are just running circles around her and maybe thinking she's completely insane. But here is a person who's probably insane, but we can use to keep the Filipinos and the Philippines in check and keep them
Mm.
ignorant and keep them scared of what Maria Ressa is forecasting
Mm-hmm.
and therefore just overlord us, di ba? Ganun yung ano dito si Ressa hindi rin yan suportado ng Kano eh. But she's used by this government as a
She's
first
just
person
allowed
of
to
it.
continue ano,
Ang
to
kanyang
continue.
mga because
Yeah.
if she's saying that to Americans, the Americans will just extend a finger and you know what which finger it is. But the Americans, seeing that this is utilitarian, we can actually use this
Yeah.
woman, no matter how insane the thing she's saying to us, because if the Filipinos believe her and the other countries who are not American are believing her, then they would really put the Philippines in check and not stand against us and stand with China or Russia. Yan yung ginagawa niya. So, even those
she
people like Reza in Britain, hindi rin naman sila pinapakinggan because there is democracy in Britain. There is
mm,
democracy in Canada, in Australia, and they won't take Maria Ressa seriously. Gusto lang niya talaga dito sa Pilipinas yan dahil ang demokrasya natin ay bata pa. Kaya kaya niya siguro sa isip-isip niya, kaya niya
no, no,
maglago dito
no,
at
no, no.
sabihin
I
na,
disagree. I disagree. I disagree.
bakit?
Remember what they you remember what they did to Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson is out. It began with his entire party being demolished one by one, his credibility being demolished. And who knows? These partners of Reza in Britain are also doing what she has perfected here, applying the
Yeah, but do
models.
they believe them? Do they believe this
Their
narrative
media?
she's saying?
No, no, not
Again,
maybe not
like,
about us, but about them in
yeah,
England.
well, there it is
The same
because even
strategy
even
being done.
even Britain,
Uh,
even Britain are made up of politicians as astute as the Americans. I mean, they made the Americans. Britain created America. So these people are not idiots. We are,
mhm.
okay? We are. But those British people who seem to have followed the way that Maria Ressa and her group, if there is one, is paving a way for them. It's just really again utilitarian. Nakikita nila there's use for this kind of thing. Let's use it. Let's remove this guy. Again, yung kanyang sinasabi na ano yung sinasabi niya? Removal, ay ano ba yan? Yung
Hmm?
ginagawa daw natin dito sa ating history. Ano
Yun,
ang term
yung,
doon?
yeah, iba sa
Replacement.
revisionist. Replacement
Replacement.
history.
The culture of
Yeah.
replacement, sinasabi niya.
Uh,
Isn't that what she's trying to do here? She's trying to replace our democracy with something that she thinks is a better kind of democracy. Isn't
yeah,
that what she was trying to do with Duterte? By replacing Duterte with Lenin Robredo, that moron. And now, she's also doing that to our president, a democratically elected president, and want to replace this guy with what? Maria Ressa?
I think so. I think so. She
Sino?
couldn't be out of her mind for imagining so because of the about 100 people who have received the Nobel Peace Prize, almost one third of them are presidents. Huh? Don't underestimate her
Yeah.
capacity to dream because yeah, like just like Aung San Suu Kyi. All right, now wait. Before that, I promised this
Yeah,
girl
well, yeah,
kanina
that
that
one.
we will show her her travel stuff. Okay. Now this is maybe going to be a new thing. This has never been out in the open. Okay. Here ye, here ye.
Ah,
Take note. Take note. Take note. Take note. This list came from a decision made by the Court of Tax Appeals. What does the Court of Tax Appeals have to do with anything about Reza? Apparently, she has a case in Pasig for tax evasion, and she's been talking about that. And in this case, okay, let me just move it. Paano ko nga ba ito
ah.
ginagalaw ito? Ayan, wait lang ha, kasi
Scroll, scroll.
isa lang yun. Hindi, isa lang kasi yung aking screen ngayon eh. Okay, here. Alright. She surrendered voluntarily on December 3, 2018. Okay. The trial court arraignment of the accused was set on December 7, 2018.
2018.
Okay, for more than a year, from 2018 up to March 2020, petitioner Reza filed several motions to travel with the court AQO for her various monthly international engagements. So, she has never actually been arraigned because she had to go to Doha, Qatar in December 14, 2018 to 16, December 2018. Pwede naman nata siya sanang ma-arraign nun, ano? Bakit kaya siya hindi
Oo,
pa
ayaw niya
na-arraign?
lang.
Okay? Okay? And then she went to New York in December 29. And then she went to Davos until 2019, Toronto, Florida. Every month yan, ha? January, February. Okay? And then Singapore. So if she is really a journalist worth her salt and worth her stories in the Philippines, she's out of the country most of the time. Singapore, and then San Francisco, 15 March to 29 March, that's half a month. And then April to April 14, another half a month in Italy and New York. And then New York, and then April 1 to until my birthday, April 28. Hong Kong, May 16 to May 20, 20 to 25, New York, Glasgow. Karan, ano yun? Ano yung kanta, di ba? Si Fernando.
Oh,
Oh, yun, sa
yan.
Glasgow. In Scotland, and May 30 to 3 June 2019. Geneva in Switzerland. Oh, nandun dun si Sharia.
Jeremy, Jeremy.
Sherry, yeah, okay. On June 30, that's July. How many trips are these?
Aha. Down, down, down.
Yeah,
Wait,
because this is
23.
just 2019,
Baba
huh?
pa, baba. Wait,
2020, 2020. Oh,
that is
okay. And
that
then
is like
goes to Austin, Texas,
that's
USA,
forever. That's 34.
until March 18, 2020. All right. When this case became a case. Because,
So 15 lang ang pinayagan siya.
no.
Pinayagan siya 15
All of
cases
these
lang.
trips. No,
15 times.
15 motions. 15 motions kasi pwedeng kasing pinagsama-sama yan eh.
Ah.
But all of these trips happened.
Hmm,
Okay? And because of that,
okay.
her, okay, 15 resolutions granting the motions. Okay?
Oh,
Okay? Now, there has been resolutions which approve the travels. Petitioner, okay, compliance with the travel, and then she gives a bond. Okay? But, okay, the issue here became uh, when the issue here came out when on March, when we had our lockdown, Reza was now not able to go out of the country. That's why they were
oh,
so against the government's imposition of lockdowns, right? And
oh.
the restriction of international travel. They were so against this. Okay,
Ah,
and then there was now a schedule for her arraignment. Okay, and okay, this case was about her schedule for arraignment. She didn't want to be
okay.
arraigned. Okay, and what is arraignment, attorney? What good is
Well,
an arraignment in a case?
arraignment is a process. Okay, it's a
Mm.
part of the procedure in criminal cases which brings the accused to the authority or jurisdiction of the court that is trying her or trying her case. Now, when is this supposed to happen?
Mm.
Yung arraignment na yan
When
should,
is it?
okay, there is a should, it shall happen immediately after probable cause is found that she's probably guilty of a crime and therefore should stand trial. So immediately yan, no delay yan kasi pagka pinatagal mo yan, magsisimula na namang bibilang ang prescriptive period. So a person who does not want to go to jail just has to delay his arraignment because the arraignment stops the counting of the prescriptive period. What is a prescriptive period? Prescriptive period is that time is that length of time that either the case is allowed to be prosecuted or the crime is allowed to be punished by law. So that kung halimbawa, merong crime at meron lang itong tax evasion, I don't know anong prescription nito, baka 1 year or
Three.
more.
I know about the crime.
But,
I do not know.
oo. And,
This is a criminal aspect. Eh.
yes, and the prescriptive period for that crime, this is a crime of, I think, tax evasion. I'm not so sure what this is for.
It's there.
Is
You wanna see? You wanna see? There's this
okay
page here.
lang. Mamaya
No,
na
no.
lang.
It's here. It's
Mamaya.
here. Para alam din ng ano natin what crime is
Oh,
this,
what
no?
is that case?
Okay, this is okay for the court's
Taas,
application.
taas.
Okay. No. Dito. The parties. Okay, Maria Reza. Okay.
Hmm. Baba, baba.
All right. Wait lang. Parang ko lang ng konti para hindi na. Okay. Petitioner Maria Reza is a Filipino of legal age. Oh, ha? Korte na yung nagsabi niyan.
Baba.
She's an investigative journalist by profession, has been a journalist for more than 34 years. Public respondent is the judge. Okay. The facts.
A
On November
violation of
14,
judge. Yes,
2018.
as.
Okay. Ito.
Yan.
On November 14, 2018, RTC Pasig, an information dated October 2, 2018, was filed against petitioner for alleged
NIRC.
violation of Section 255 of the 1997 NIRC, willful and unlawful failure of petitioner Reza as president of RHC's Rappler Holdings Corporation, the stockbroker corporation, to supply correct and accurate information in Rappler Holding Corporation's quarterly value-added tax
Mm.
return for the second quarter of taxable year 2015. Failure to report therein the total
And such
quarterly
other
sales
crimes.
receipt coming from the issue of the sale of the RHC Philippines. Okay, listen, whoever's left out there, of Philippine depository receipts as dealer in
Mm.
securities to NBM Rappler LP. NBM Rappler is North Base Media Rappler Limited Partnerships established and
Oh.
registered in the Cayman Islands in the total amount of 2,400,154 pesos and 87 centavos, thereby resulting in a deficiency VAT of 294,258 pesos and 58 centavos. You know, these
Okay.
numbers are even wrong. Okay? These numbers are
Yeah,
even
well,
wrong.
whatever. The court
Whatever,
is
but
going to
that is
find
the
that
case.
as
Uh,
facts. Mm.
yeah,
Okay, so
that
that's the
is the
case.
case.
So the prescriptive period to either punish this crime or
Hmm.
send prosecute that person, the accused, runs from the moment it was discovered,
Discovered.
or yes, it discovered by assessed by the tax agency or the BIR,
Mhm.
until that year that is appointed by the rules of court, which says, or with the under our
Depende kasi
criminal
kung anong
law.
penalty
And
niyan eh. Oo. Hindi natin
oh,
sure yung
so
penalty, di
so
ba?
merong kung 1 taon yan or 3 taon yan or ganito, depende yan sa palaki ng palaki yung crime, pahaba ng pahaba yung prescriptive
So
period.
the arraignment is
So
that part where you
dito,
say guilty or not guilty, tama ba?
mm,
Tama ba yun,
mm,
attorney? Is that the
yes,
part?
doon siya tatanungin, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty, because that moment when she says guilty or not guilty, that is the
Stops.
time when the court now has jurisdiction over her, the accused. So it
Okay.
will stop now both the running of the prescriptive period for punishing the crime or for prosecuting the accused. Okay? So
Okay.
pipigil 'yan. So hindi natatakbo yung kung one year man 'yan, ay titigil 'yan siya diyan hanggang matapos yung kaso na 'yan. Okay? And then begins again if she is not convicted. So ganun ang nangyayari dito, by doing this, by postponing the arraignment, she is actually not only exercising her freedom of mobility, but also delaying her case and making the prescriptive period run and exhaust, okay, and run out, so that she is no longer liable for the crime, and she can no longer be prosecuted as the accused in the commission of that crime. So, makikita mo dito yung ginagawa niya, ang propaganda niya ay, hindi, this is my freedom of mobility, ganito, ganyan, I am a journalist. But at the same time, sige, payagan niyo ako ng payagan para pag uwi ko dito, hindi niyo na ako pwedeng kasuhan.
Okay. How about we task ito to I find this very interesting topic. Itong number 28, that in Philadelphia she went there to attend a panel as a panelist in the Power Resistance Understanding the Media in Authoritarian States Symposium in Philadelphia, USA on that day on those dates. If someone
Yeah.
is interested to find out what event this is all about and what documents came out of
Alam
there,
alam ko
that would
naman
be
yung
nice.
diyan, nangyayari diyan, yung
Okay,
lecture nga
no,
yan, yung
yeah,
speaking truth to power. Yan
yeah,
yung
but
theme diyan eh.
it's not about her content, but who else is with
Not
this group. Yeah, yun
Exactly.
yung kailangan nating
Because
information.
that is the latest liberal
Yeah, and
philosophy, yung
what is this jigs?
speaking truth to power. Yan yung
Yeah,
kanilang
how
theme
about this
at that
Jigsaw
time.
Solution Summit? Nice yan, a Jigsaw Solution Summit.
Well, I
And
don't know that.
isipin mo, she attends an Al Jazeera English lawyers meeting in London. Is she a lawyer? Uh,
She is
Yan.
not even
So,
an economist, but she was the speaker in that
okay, wait,
economic forum there.
wait. So now, this is about the COVID-19 case, okay? And then, what was her problem again? That she wanted to go to the United States to attend the 1,000 Cuts. Yun, here. Yeah, August 1 to 30. She wants to go to support the release of a documentary, 1,000 Cuts, to attend as a speaker at various
Mhm.
journalism and filmmaking conferences, including the Asian American Journalists Association. Sipin mo when you are the influential person in this Asian American Journalists Association. Huh? And PBS, of all, I love this PBS productions on space. Whoever among you watches it. All right? So yun, that is your Maria Reza's,
Sige,
ano
call to
sa,
action na tayo.
yeah, go. What
Okay,
is the
what I
content?
want us to do, what I propose us to do, as people who already understand what she's doing and how pernicious it is to our own democracy, okay, and to our own the right to self determination, which means that we have the right to govern ourselves and to discover our own democracy. We don't want anybody imposing a kind of democracy on us and replacing the presidents that we elect just because some foreign country supports him or her. So, ganito ang gagawin natin. Let's inform the world by speaking a statement that is not that is neither
Hate
hateful
speech.
or that is neither hate speech or insulting or discrimination, but just like statement of the truth. And that is my proposal is that we tell the world that hey, USA or hey, England or hey, Germany or hey, UE or EU. Uh, Maria Ressa does I am Filipino. Maria Ressa does not speak for me. Ganyan lang. Ganyan lang kasimple. I am Filipino and Maria Ressa does not speak for me. So whatever it is that she says to you, foreign media, foreign countries, foreign whatever, we have nothing to do with that. Okay? If she is talking to you about her own people, then she has to find that people elsewhere because there is no such thing in this country, the Philippines.
Do you know that that has already been, kumbaga, meron nang nakahanda na ano dyan? Balakid dyan?
Well, I don't care.
Um,
Ano, they will censor us
no.
before
It
we
is already,
even say it.
it is already listed as one of the attacks against her.
What? To say that she does not represent us? Why is that an attack?
Everything you say against her is an attack against her.
Is it against her to
Wait
say that
lang.
she does not?
Let me just find the document, okay? It's a UN document, UN Journalist Awards 2021.
Hmm.
Okay,
Well,
Journalism Award. Uh,
let's talk about
I think the
civil
only way to,
disobedience.
how about a civil case?
How about we talk about civil disobedience?
How can you
Something that
disobey him?
happened in the U.S. Something that happened in the U.S. at the time of Martin Luther King and such other African American leaders in the 60s or 70s. And what happened there is that they actually violated laws voluntarily. Okay, and uh, and since there are so many of them, the government could not punish all of them, and was forced to listen to them. Okay, and now here on Facebook and on wherever social media we can do this, if there are many enough of us to saying that we are Filipinos and Maria Reza does not represent us when in whatever she says in anywhere in the world outside the Philippines because she really does not represent us. She's talking about a people, her people, that does not include me. And I don't know about you, but if you want and you would rather be included in that we, my people that she's talking about, then fine, have
Yeah,
your way.
okay. How do we get the content na tama? Because accusing her of anything, saying
We
something
are not
bad.
accusing her of
No, no,
anything.
no. I mean is what I mean is there should be a unity in the content for it to become
Yes,
viable propaganda. Like one source of or alam mo yun, if somebody can volunteer to make the graphics or something like that to make it very recognizable and repeatable, something like that.
Eh, para sa akin kasi, it's just a mere status message because it will reflect, um,
Mm-hmm.
it will negate the allegation that is inauthentic behavior because it's sharing a meme is really that. You're just spreading propaganda by using one meme that is made by one person. But if it
No,
is
no,
all of
it should.
us
Mm.
stating in our status update the way the message and in whatever way you want to say it, but the message is quite simple. I am Filipino. Maria Reza does not represent me. Yan lang yun.
Mm-hmm. Yan. What's the what's the when do we do this?
Well, I am going to do this as soon as we end this
Okay.
as soon as we
I'll
end this
follow your lead. I'll follow your lead.
Yes, and
Okay.
let's not do the let's not do the meme thing because it looks like a really inauthentic behavior. But if it's just a status message, it is up to you really if you want to post it or not. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
that is not inauthentic because that's you deciding whether to say it or not say it.
Yeah. I agree. No, like, we really need to do something about this person, but the things that we can do are very limited. And talking to the international community, and calling their attention about these things that she's been doing. Oh, naano na nila to. As in, pinaghandaan na nila lahat. Like, you search this document. Okay, I'll be sharing na lang the links later on na pwede niyong tingnan. And maybe I can World Press Freedom Day. When is this? Okay, 4/27. Philippines journalist. Okay. So she's been attacked out from all fronts since day one of the Duterte administration. Can you imagine that?
I want her to explain to those people and to us how our statement is an attack on her.
Mm, why don't we just file a case on against Facebook and let Facebook explain for her, force
I am
Facebook to
going
do
to
it.
do that.
Yeah, kaya nga.
But meanwhile, she will be representing us in the in the
Uh,
international arena, and she
she
will
has been.
again lie to the international arena about us when she
Mhm.
isn't really authorized to represent us. And filing a case takes time.
Yep, and she's going to. She's ahead of us in terms of time. Like, look at
Yes,
this.
exactly.
Look at this. I'll just change that. Uh-huh. Here. Mm. Mm. Share. And you see how is it there? Paki-add daw sa stream, sir. Ahmed.
Ang alin?
Ito,
Ito.
itong ano nasa baba.
You can't add it.
No, no, kasi
Isa
natatakpan
lang
sa
yung screen
screen
mo.
ko eh.
Isang screen mo lang.
Tatakpan eh. So ito, so
Right.
itong si this is UNESCO. Can you imagine that? UNESCO.
Yeah,
And
I can.
from here, there are so many links to even ah,
Even more
malulula
verification.
ka. Malulula ka. Okay?
Mm.
When you have the UN behind you, sino ka na? Si Desmond Tutu? O si
Well,
ano?
yeah, that's it. That's it. Because if the UN sides with Maria Ressa in accusing us of doing something bad to her when we say she does not represent us,
Yes.
then we have a UN now that we should really get out of, probably.
Pinay Paparazzi, I think I'll make a different post inside my page with a folder para madali natin mahanap. Kasi ako rin mismo, nalilito na ako maghanap galing sa loob ng mga post na luma. I'll find a way na magkaroon ng folder na pwede tayong maglagay ng links to documents that we can use actually to study more about this girl. And Osheng or anyone who has SEO and other skills,
Propose na ako.
can you please find way to gather yung information about the traffic in Rappler, stuff like that? Kasi Importante yun. Who is reading Rappler? Di ba? It is actually the most untrustworthy among all the MSMs based on their own report. Sila mismo naglabas. So yung trustworthiness ng Rappler is only 42%. Okay? While the highest is GMA right now. So yun. Attorney Ahmed. Attorney.
Ito na, nagpo-post na ako. Sige na muna.
Yeah.
Ipo-post ko lang
So,
po sa akin.
okay. We are at 156. Okay. So, kayo, I don't use FB. YouTube lang kasi ako. Okay. Then in
Ganun
that
din,
case,
ganun pa rin. Okay pa rin, ganun pa rin. May post, may status message pa rin naman ang YouTube eh.
alright. Bull DS naman yan. Pwede nyo siya manira sa iba, pero pag pupunayin siya, yes. This is really so absurd. Nauna talaga siya ng ano eh. She's been ahead for 5 years eh. And not only that, she is riding on the back of a wider and a stronger advocacy also from these elitists. And there is really that group, okay? But if you look it up, there is no definition yet. I think that will be our contribution to society, Ahmed. We will identify this pluralist, elitist agenda, this group, no? And who they are and what they do. Kasi, look it up. Wala siyang formal definition even in political science that there is such a thing as a elitist. That they're the ones actually who has started an issue with the populists by naming them. Okay, 3 minutes. I just used this up. One of the most famous populists in history that never, kumbaga, na napigilan ng itong mga elitist, and by demonizing his populist plans, was president for the United States with a family name of Bryan. He ran for president twice, and if you look him up, his policy was the arguments against him will focus on the silver dollar thing, but it's not really that. Do you know that if this guy ever made it to become the US president, you know what he campaigned for? He was in touch with our revolutionaries and he was supposed to give the Philippines independence. That is what made him lose. So the first populist American, alam mo yun, branded populist American candidate lost because one of his advocacies or one of his agenda was to give Aguinaldo the freedom to run this country and Americans will take it out. Bryan is the only president who ran twice against the same person. Presidential candidate, dalawang beses sila nagbanggaan ni McKinley. I don't remember his first name. So just look it up. Bryan.
Ipapakita ko itong post ko
Yep.
in a while.
Sige, go. Ayun, so maybe this is what she wants. Kasi buong mundo, okay, I'll put it up, ha? Kasi buong mundo, makakakita nito. Pwede niya pagandahin, pa-image niya dahil sa may sumisira sa kanya, naisip ko lang. Yes. In fact, she couldn't do this alone. It's impossible to tell this lie alone. For it to become true, it has to be supported by institutions that will make it appear true. Di parang na siya sa Jakarta. Okay, wait. Talking about Jakarta, if you're there, may issue din sila dyan with their president and they also have a press issue there. I just don't know kung sino yung Maria Ressa nila sa Jakarta. Kaya nga, there are many of them making all of these claims, absurd claims against presidents that they don't like. And those presidents that they don't like, we know them. Okay, 2 of them are already out.
Easy to identify them.
Wala na si Trump. Wala na si Boris Johnson. The third one is Duterte, but Duterte left on his own, not because they were able to boot him out. Okay? Yan.
Yan yung post ko.
Saan yan nakalagay? Paano yung ginagawa?
Alin?
This is it your,
I ano, I
in your name?
screen captured it.
No, what I mean,
Screen,
is that the post?
what?
Is that a post?
Yeah, that is the post. Yeah.
Ah,
That is how it looks like. Screen cap yan ng Facebook ng Luminous.
alright.
Tapos,
Okay.
ginawa ko siyang, ipinis ko sa Paint, clean-up ko, and then I printed it as PDF file because this app that we are using can only upload a PDF. Only show PDF. So, that's a PDF file. Ganyan lang yung post ko. And I don't order you to do this kind of thing. Okay? I just want you to see what I'm trying to do. And that is that I want to inform the world that when Maria Ressa talks about her people, as the Filipinos being her people, that does not include me.
I doubt about this information. Okay, this is not a government thing. It's not a government thing. This because these institutions that are working with her are also destroying the U.S. government. Yep, that is the most obvious thing that we can see. But yeah, the only thing the only way we can identify them right now is just a pluralist, elitist brand. What it really means and what they really want to do, what's their economic agenda, we do not know yet. It's not clear yet, and I don't think they're also clear on that matter. Naka-cringe lang yung mga bansa dyan sa kanluran na nagsasalita about human rights sa ating bansa while legal naman na pinapatay nila yung sanggol
Ay,
sa chat.
sorry. Sorry, ulit. Saan ba yung pinabasa
Ito.
doon?
Si Paps. Nope.
Okay. Yan, tama yan. Nakaka-cringe.
Yep. We agree. And change.org.
Ito namang sinasabi ni Oseng. Change.org is if we do this by change.org, it would still be it will look like an inauthentic behavior because they've done that before. They called it inauthentic behavior when someone tried to raise money for the president for her for his retirement or remove or protest an action of some candidate for presidency. Tinawag din nilang inauthentic behavior sa Facebook yan.
Yep.
So hindi kasi parang it's that portal eh.
I want to find that document where they listed all of the attacks, and from there you will see everything you can think of to do against her has already been listed as an attack against her. It's brilliant.
Well, I'm sure that if they hit me for this, and I will take them to court.
No,
Black
not
on
that.
them if they can stand it
Not
on
that,
the legal,
not that.
legal term.
This thing that we're doing, this is not in their list. We are actually destroying their game.
There it is. Even this
Yeah.
discussion, even this live
This
stream,
discussion, they don't have this in their
theories,
list. Mm.
hindi nila to ina-anticipate, hindi nila to na-anticipate.
Yeah, they don't
They
anticipate.
are trying to they're trying to silence us by throttling us so really badly. But there it is.
Their anticipation is we will be cursing our way out of this. So without hate speech, they cannot touch us. Yun yung sinasabi ko, no? Yung mga hate speech na lumalabas, yan yung ini-expect nila, and they want us to do that so that they can restrict us even more. Yun. It's in the iPad kasi I will just organize those other documents which is not really part of the subject matter for tonight, lumabas lang. Ang tindi nito, ang tindi talaga, we're not joking. So, lumagpas na rin tayo ng ating 2 oras, matindi na rin yung ating pagod.
Okay, tama na.
That was on funding. Okay, GoFundMe. Ito siya, no?
Hindi, sinasabi niya kasi yung sa change.org,
Oo.
Pina-flag kasi ng Facebook as inauthentic behavior if you petition something that is against them.
No, if you petition against, what do you want to use in change that? What do you petition in change that, or change what? Remove
Yeah,
Maria
what do
Ressa
we
as what?
petition?
What will it be
To tell
sounding
the
like?
world.
Kasi
Yeah,
ako,
what does it, what does
I tried to start a petition there to ask Congress to regulate Food Panda, for example, yung mga deliveries. It was taken down immediately. Food delivery nga
imagine
lang
that?
yun. Oh, because
Yeah, that's one.
I was so angry one time na nag-order ako twice and then paid na, and then I think it was Mother's Day. And then when I went to the to pick up, wala lahat, hindi na forward dun sa mga ano. So I tried that to start a petition for
All right.
wala. Nothing moved.
Para
So
makapagpahinga na tong mga taong to,
okay.
may mga trabaho na sila. Sige, tapusin mo. Sorry, sorry, sorry.
Yes. Okay. So ngayon, what I want to get, if you can come up with a nice kumbaga, perfectly crafted question, because yun yung kailangan dyan kay change.org. It must be well crafted so that it will if you can come up, tell us, we'll support you. You put it up, anyone can put it up, right? Anyone can put up
Yeah.
a petition in change.org. So you put it up, or alam mo yun, we can brainstorm if you want. Just contact us. Need to leave. Betchay, bye! 12
All right.
noon na.
Yan na lang
Okay.
muna.
So for
Mag-music
now,
na tayo.
yeah, mag-music na tayo. And
Hindi, for
we
now,
hope,
for now.
now for now, I would like to yung mga bagong sulpot from wherever you are. You're most welcome here. We need your help. Spread this information, and if you can provide information, we can actually include you in the discussions if you like. Just tell us, no? We're
Yeah.
capable pala of adding more. We can actually let you talk if you want. Okay?
Yeah, padalan
So
mo nga to si Oseng ng link para
yes.
masubukan natin kung pwede
Ay,
natin siyang
yun nga. Can you do ito si Oseng? Oseng, can you give us
sige, kasi
your
isa lang yung screen mo,
Oh,
mag-invite
ikaw na
ako
lang.
Tingnan mo, subukan natin.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Subukan na
Here
natin.
it is. I will put it up here sa chat and
Oh,
then you try clicking on it.
whoever wants to go live can
Yan,
actually use
yan.
that. Yan. Use that one. Yeah, you can actually say
Let's
what you
try
want
ko
to say.
nga.
Basta wala
Yeah,
lang hate speech.
let's try to see how many people we can fit on this screen.
Yeah.
Because I think that we would only be allowed to do 10. So if that's true, then let's try it.
Yep. Try mo muna, Lazaro Duran, bago ka umalis. Try mo muna.
Oh,
If you put up a
try nyo
data
muna
bank
i-click
here
yan.
in the PH, yung the
Well,
government,
the requirement there is a Chrome yata ang kailangang gamitin. So there it
it
is. There's
works.
a limitation.
It works with I use it with
Yung sa
no, itong
sa Microsoft,
Microsoft, it works with
Firefox.
also. No, Microsoft.
Yung sa Microsoft.
Yeah. Data bank here in the PH, government control here, like Facebook, Google. It all goes out kasi eh. Pero wala naman tayong problema with the data. Ang problema natin dito is actually yung restrictions
Throttling.
na ginagawa nila. Yung throttling
Oo.
and yung method ng pagtatanggal nila ng mga accounts, yung
Oh.
suspend the rules, no? It's not
Hindi data ang problema because data can be countered with equally believable data. So if that's what they say, then we will just have to be allowed to say what we say so that may juxtaposition, di ba? Ay pagtatabi yung dalawang data and it's up to the reader to decide kung alin ang itutuon. That is fair.
So anyone wants to try, come on, please, don't be shy. Okay? Wala atang gusto mag-try Attorney Ahmed eh. But okay.
Pwede namang
It's
hindi mag-video eh.
How do we get in touch with this si Osing? Can you get Osing, is it okay if we get in touch with you?
She will be here. I
Uh,
trust.
yeah.
If she is not a Rappler plant, which I don't believe she
think
is.
so. I don't think so. I installed it.
I
You
don't
installed
believe
what?
she is.
What did you install? There's nothing to install. Resa 2 is the problem. How do you tackle this problem? That is the question. Okay. She appears to be like ganito. I know Jose Rizal's, kumbaga, I suspect that Jose Rizal's entire persona as presented in our history is overrated. But how do you attack Jose Rizal? I think she's reached that level of, or close to that level of divinity in the international community. Not because of her own exploits, but because she fits a certain narrative na I suspect is also being used in other countries. Ang problema kasi we don't look at our neighbors. The public, we don't. Malaysia is just there. We don't know what's happening in Malaysia. We don't know what's happening in Indonesia. If you are in Switzerland, you don't even know what's exactly happening in Poland, di ba? Media-wise, rights-wise, things like that. We are so separate. Maraming to.
Sabi ni
I think.
Osing,
Hmm. The
sabi
streaming
ni
app,
Osing, she installed the streaming app. In-install niya yung StreamYard. Well,
there's nothing
that's
to install
probably
actually.
going to work better, but you
There,
didn't
is
have to
there?
do that.
Actually, just click the link, click this link, and it will bring you there. And don't open an
Baka
account.
kasi cellphone yung gamit niya. Baka cellphone yung gamit
Ah,
niya.
okay, 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 okay.
The
Yeah.
cellphone, there's probably a need for installation of the app,
Sige, sige.
which
Okay,
I didn't clarify,
we can
which I don't know
actually,
either for first hand.
oo. Yung kanina nga, nasubukan ko, nagdalawa ako eh. Ayun, so, who else is here? Marami pa. How about yung mga friends natin from wherever you are? Uy, mute muna kita ha, buka ng buhay. Baka mahawa kami ng COVID. Okay, okay na? Yan. Sino pa?
I'm still waiting.
Yeah. Tatiana.
Ayun,
Ito si
teka,
Tatiana.
may lumalabas eh. There is an attempt to come in.
I don't see it
Parang merong,
in my end.
Yeah, can you try again,
Alright.
Osing? And it's
Please
going
try.
It's going to ask you to allow your camera and your mic to be used by that app. So you have to approve that first before you are put there. Loud. Pero nakikita ko eh, merong notification na lumalabas and then suddenly goes away.
Actually, Lisbeth, the problem is she's just making up what she's saying. So she doesn't really talk about real situations, real cases. Pansinin nyo, if you look up her, whatever's written about her, she just talks of, okay, this is the most common, 90 threats within an hour. That she's being targeted because she's a
Meron na
woman.
naman.
Where? Tanggalin nga natin itong sinishare natin ito. Ito siya,
Tanggalin mo yan. Tapos tatanggalin
Yeah,
ko rin
how
yung sarili
do I-
ko.
No, itong si
Osing
itong
has been trying. I think she's been trying, but
Yan.
something
Okay,
is
it's clear.
not allowing her to do that.
Do you have Do you have a VPN? Please remove your VPN. Don't use a VPN when you want to connect. Hindi ka makakapasok ever. So yan naging dahilan bakit napapostpone niya yung mga arraignment. Parang sobrang bratinela. More than bratinela. Bratinela is an understatement. Brits can see through her and their interests are for international policies affecting trade. Okay, you try this one, Try this one, please. Whoever wants to go online. Nakikita mo ba sila, Med, pag pumapasok? Kasi ikaw na yung host nito eh. Hindi, ako pala. I should be able to see that. Resa may not be specifically and exclusively promoting, okay. Yep, agree. In fact, alam niyo naman siguro kung sino-sino yung mga nag-finance sa kanya. Okay. I don't want to be wrong about this information, kaya ayokong magbanggit ng amount. There is you can search this. You can search this information from the internet for propaganda purposes. Do you think she's sticking to this narrative? Fresh, I mean, that video we just showed you was just last month, and if you will look at newer publications, actually, this is the weird thing. She's saying the same things over and over again. Oh, I have her. There you go. Oop,
Hi.
oh, wala. Yeah. So, you're
Yeah, but I can't have this working with the Facebook at the same time, so I have to access it in a different
yes,
phone.
yes. You
Yeah,
can't
but
have
don't
it
worry
on
about
the same
Facebook.
system.
Let's just see you here for a while and listen to you. What
Mm.
you have to say.
What do you do in You're in England, right?
Scotland.
Scotland. Okay.
Scotland.
Scotland po.
Okay.
Yeah,
So what happened to Boris?
He got kicked out for his own idiotic antics.
You
Nagparty
think?
kasi siya eh.
Yeah, we know, we all know that. But don't you think? Try to review who was responsible for all of this expose.
I think it's there's an international agency involved. But
Yeah,
of course,
they
this is
want
just
they want power.
speculation. I'm not in any way attached to government, or it's just something that I suspect.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Kasi
Just like we do.
it happens
That's the thing.
everywhere. It
Yes,
happens
yes.
everywhere.
Yeah.
No, it started
Yeah.
from the time na maraming nationalist movements,
Mm.
and they were so
Yeah.
against all this racism thing going on in America. Uh, it's actually put it to the
Yeah.
fore. Yung problem na yun. So I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Yes.
I
We
know
know, we
you were
know.
suspecting baka taga Rappler ako. No, I'm not from
No,
Rappler.
no.
No.
Ah, it
I'm
was just a
sorry.
joke.
I'm sorry I said that.
It was
It's
just a
okay.
joke.
It's okay.
It was just a joke. Pero yung
Oh yeah, but
we
that's
are
good kasi I have
welcoming
the
them.
same hold on. I have the same feelings kasi and in the advent of the liberal narrative that liberalist I think is the proper term for it, not the liberal. Liberalist narrative in the US which started about right around the time of Obama. Nag, Diyan nagsimula itong lahat ng ito eh.
Yeah,
Okay.
neoliberalism crumbled sa Amerika after Syria.
Yeah, that's
Yung
right.
nangyari sa
Okay.
Syria.
And
And
Talking about
they've been trying to put it up again.
kaya
talking about
what they're
timetables.
trying to do is all this nationalist thing. Kaya akala nila pinopromote din ni Putin sa Russia all this to do with what is historically your territory, and that. And I think that's why they're pushing for globalization para man-neutralize,
Yeah,
because you're not having to get people to just be nationalistic. If you make it as a global thing, then it makes them politically correct.
Okay, wait.
that's right.
I just want to correct this one, this information. Tayong Pilipino, we do not see anything wrong with the word nationalism. But in fact,
Yeah,
nationalism is a bad thing in the international world because the correct word is patriotism. But when you say
yeah,
nationalism, you're alienating all the rest of the countries of the world against
exactly.
you.
Yes.
Okay, so the concept of nationalism is a wrong concept, in fact. Okay, and
They're
yung ating
countering it
mga
with globalism nga eh.
yeah,
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but the idea that it maraming, if you'll notice, maraming mga progressives who are, well, they say communism, but they mix it with communitarianism.
mm-hmm.
So that's where they're trying to infiltrate with confusion. They'll say,
yeah,
"Oh,
Yeah,
we're not communists, we're socialists."
yeah,
yeah,
and then you have the Trotskyites, and then
Yeah, but
you have the Joma season saying they're all stupid and stuff. Okay, but right
and with a
now
big person, they wouldn't know
they have
the
difference.
yeah they have
difference.
muddled all of these things into complicated narratives that are actually they're just to make you lose yourselves,
They
lose
put
your
it down
bearing.
to translation eh. They're saying
Yeah,
that
yeah,
their language is different, even if it's in English.
yeah,
Katulad ng
yeah. Some.
kasaysayan and
Newsom
history.
in Canada? In California? What about this Newsom? What's with him?
Uh, what is that?
New
Well,
Governor
Osing
Newsom.
is saying something.
Yep,
Let
yep.
her finish because that's important.
Yes.
She is saying
Yeah, I
that
was thinking that.
there seems to be an intentional bungling of how
Correct.
things are supposed to mean and how they're supposed to be said
Yeah,
Yes.
but this
in
guy.
specific places
If
in the
you,
world.
if you also notice when they say red tagging,
Hmm,
Yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah,
the labeling of it, it could have been as simple as, yeah, it's another word for being into communist ideals. Doesn't
yeah,
necessarily mean you're NPA,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because you have to go through court, you need some proof of your affiliation and everything like that.
yeah.
So it's
That's
all
right.
gone down to semantics of,
Mm,
sabi nila, oh, hindi, nagkamali lang sa language.
yeah,
Eh, yung
yeah. It's
sinabi
so
nilang
easy.
history, kasaysayan, lahat tayo may kasaysayan eh. So, I think their move is to do with language, the way
Right,
we speak it, and that's why they're publishing as many things as they can online. So the only way
right.
you can combat that is with counter information.
Yes.
yeah,
But
yeah. No,
before we
no.
get to that,
Uh,
we have to also combat the way we are restricted from even saying those information.
hmm.
Yeah,
Like,
at the moment, ang mas maluwag is TikTok rather than Facebook. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's hard to filter through so much in that ano eh,
In TikTok,
platform.
hmm.
I'm not even on TikTok because I just really get so annoyed by the stuff that I have to go through.
But what
Yeah,
I can suggest is that although Facebook have got influential people backing them, ang main trust pa rin naman ng ng platform nila is people.
Yeah, yeah,
And Filipinos are
the
one
number
of
one.
the biggest users of the platform.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if the campaign has to prosper,
It has to be here.
it has to be an appeal to Mark Zuckerberg.
yeah.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
only
yeah.
thing that can bring Mark Zuckerberg to listen to you is to file a case against him for
That's one.
$10 billion, and he will not. He will not. He will no longer relegate you to a lawyer.
No, I don't think that will work because Americans do that and it just ends up in a
Yeah.
lot of
And
Yeah,
uh,
settlement,
hate
settlement.
campaign.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
But that
wag
that
mong
is the
kala
only way you can get his attention. And the
wag mong
settlement can
kalabanin
be.
yung mismong
hold
platform
on,
na
JP.
gagamitin mo.
Oh, that's right, that's right. But well, funny enough that you say that because if we listened to Maria Ressa just a while ago, and she was attacking Facebook. She was saying that there are no rules anymore on Facebook, and it's this algorithm that is scary and stuff like that, which seems to me a platform that she is working with or something like that.
failing failing that, maybe you can try Elon Musk.
Try
Well,
understanding that.
yes, I suppose.
So
Try
you fight
answering that.
fire with fire.
Exactly. And well, the closest that I can think of at tapping Elon Musk is bitcoins.
No,
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 you
no,
know
no.
how he's got his satellite
You,
things just now in the
you know,
Philippines.
you know how you
He's got
get
Yeah,
to
his
top.
best interest there din eh.
Yeah,
yeah,
correct,
So
yeah,
correct.
yeah. I
he's
agree with that.
actually being direct
But do you
competition. He
know?
tried to buy Twitter, which
Okay.
was cancelled.
Yeah, okay, we know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But do you know how to get in touch with Elon Musk and
Oh
bring
no,
him into this?
I'm not a big influential
No,
person.
no, 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 no.
I'm just
The
pitching him ideas.
yeah, the only person who has claimed to have the only Filipino has claimed to be very close to Elon Musk is Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, that one.
Oh well, why not?
CR mo na ako. No, no, no. He's a joke.
No, no, no. All right. Before you go, hey JP. Oh well. Anyway, yeah. That is good. That's an interesting pitch that you have there, and I agree with you that antagonizing Facebook is really not the way to go.
No.
Or else we have to find some other place where We have yet to build
Or
the
or they can
following and the people.
investigate the ones who are sponsoring Facebook, the ones who are running Facebook in the Philippines, have the Senate investigate their links.
Um, that has been proposed for I think 3 times already in the time of Duterte. But now uh, we are hoping that even the government is under so much pressure not to touch Facebook in the Philippines,
Well,
and to
maybe with
think,
the private bill, you can forward a bill
yeah,
that siguro magkaroon ng ano, parang filter
referendum.
regulation kung sinong pwedeng mag-run ng fact checking.
Actually, dapat wala.
We have a big problem with that because our understanding of the practice of journalism as a
Self-regulation.
thing to do
Keeper.
is elsewhere in the world it is a profession. In this country, it is an exercise of a constitutional right. So that and it's specifically in the constitution of this country says that you cannot pass any law that would abridge this freedom of the press. And
But
because the
but it won't
understanding
be
of
on the freedom
Filipinos,
of the press. It
huh?
would just be, it won't be on the freedom of the press, but it will be on qualifying who gets to be.
What?
Yeah,
Because if
fact
they're
checkers.
insisting they want to gatekeep, then you have to qualify those gatekeepers.
No one
There
should
you
be a
go.
gatekeeper.
Under
He
our
just told your
constitution, no
idea.
one is allowed to do that. And
He just
if it
sold.
is the government that does that, it's even more illegal to do.
Hmm.
So what they're doing here is calling themselves journalists, which means to the Filipinos, to here in this country, they understand it as an untouchable person.
Then it
That
has
You know,
if
then
oh yeah.
pass
yeah,
a bill that will actually ban it, to
You
forbid
know,
it.
it's in the Constitution. There's
it's
no.
already
You
in the
don't need.
constitution.
You
It
don't
says
need a
that.
bill. It's in the Constitution.
So what they're doing is actually calling themselves journalists, and by that
Something.
meaning also fact checkers. Okay, and they do all of these things, this propaganda, this really crazy
Ang,
stuff
ang
online.
problem kasi it's also a private it's a company, it's a private company.
Yeah, it's
But
a private
it
business
So
takes a
company.
partake
meron siyang, although meron siyang commercial na part to it.
public nature.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
It has a
It,
public nature.
that gives them their own internal policies.
Yep.
So you can't actually control who they want to be as gatekeepers if they want to.
That's right. That's correct.
That's right.
But
But the law
see,
cannot tell them
what
to
they
get out of this country if they control the
Yeah,
speech.
exactly. So that's why I was trying to lead to is that there has to be a mechanism that can stop that. Now, even if it's
yeah
a private company, that they can't just make those decisions as
yeah
an internal
that's what
policy.
I meant by proposing that that we make Facebook understand, and Mark Zuckerberg, for that matter, understand that we Filipinos, the biggest people in on Facebook,
Yes.
didn't leave our freedoms at the gate when we came into Facebook. In other words, you just can't silence us here on Facebook
Yeah.
just by claiming that you're a private business company, that you can gatekeep all you like, because we are the
Maybe if
biggest
we
part.
if we study it carefully, yung
Yeah,
kanilang
go ahead.
agreement, their T's and C's.
Okay. Okay. Oh, let me just clarify something. Okay. Uh,
Mm,
the digital services that these companies provide partake public nature. Okay, and even if they want to make certain restrictions, just because their representation is that they are providing a public service, they are supposed to, or they are bound by the rules that serve as guidance for all public services. And in this country, we are all familiar with the rules on freedom of speech, and Not only that, the freedom of the press as a different concept. And uh, what this Slitek is saying, no, that fact checking is already abridging our freedom of speech. Technically, yes, it is abridging the freedom of speech, but it is not a law. That is the problem. It's a gray area. Kasi what the Constitution says is no law shall be passed abridging the freedom of
Yes.
speech or of the press. But they're doing it outside of the law. That's why they are able to do it. And nobody is complaining. Therefore, they continue to do it. That's why I say the best thing to deal with these people is to file a case against them for
Yeah.
uh, curtailing our freedoms, not Reza, but Facebook. Diba? We are the biggest users of Facebook in the whole world. Then why don't we exercise our freedoms? And I'm using Facebook now to say all of these things, diba?
Ang problem kasi, the ones who are making an issue of it, with people expressing themselves, is ano select few eh. I mean, the fact na there are official government pages, and they can still have an influence over that. That
Who?
shouldn't happen. That
Yeah.
shouldn't happen, but it does. So the problem would be is if it's an internal policy sa Facebook.
Yeah,
It's
if you go read the community rules and all the rules of Facebook, we are not supposed to be touched. In fact, this is the weird thing here is if you go by the rules of Facebook, we have not violated anything. Okay? The problem is when Reza says that you have a violation, they are able to affect the circulation or whatever dyan sa algorithm na ekspertong-eksperto siya. So they're manipulating it on that aspect because
again
they are
kasi
the
yung problem is language.
no.
Walang proper definition ng ano ba yung inauthentic. So if they can't define that, then they shouldn't use that as part of the community rules.
Actually, it is defined. It is very well defined. But the problem is, okay, ganito yan. There are rules. Okay? What if they will flag you for, flag your content because it contains a certain word, but, okay,
Yeah, I've had
the word,
restrictions.
diba?
Quite a
The
few.
word, okay, the word is the first, kumbaga, the first condition for you to be flagged is for a certain word or a certain set of words. And then it leaves to these fact checkers the human aspect of deciding whether this is really a bad thing or not, what is being said there. Okay. Now, let's say, for example, they see in your page and they want, and their intention is not to check on a particular post, but to restrict this particular page or shut it down. So they just find all of these words that are not allowed or
It wasn't
phrases that
even
are not
on
allowed.
words eh. Kasi what I
How
saw,
sure are you?
JP, is that I shared something and what they said was the reason
Mm.
for the restriction is that that page has been known to share false news or false
That's
articles.
another category
Yeah.
because there are many categories and we discussed all of them. Okay, we
Ah,
discussed all of them here. Then that category is in being associated with a group which is known to be a criminal group or
yeah,
which
yeah.
is a propensity to commit crimes or conduct hate. We discuss all of those stuff. Okay, and how weird those stuff can be na kung in-exercise naman ng isang objective na reviewer, wala naman sanang problema because pwede naman siyang open for interpretation. But the problem with these rules na ginawa ni Facebook na pinapa-implement niya through the Pointer. Pointer is an organization which is the one who hired Rappler. Okay? You know that
Right,
structure?
right.
Are you familiar with that structure?
No, I
Yeah.
this is first time I've heard it.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
so see Facebook entered into a contract with the International Network of Fact Checkers, okay, IFCN, International Fact Checking Network, okay. And then the International Fact Checking Network has an organization called Pointer, and Pointer is the one who accredits all of the fact checkers all over the world per country. Okay?
It's weird because it's unheard of here eh. May
Yeah,
Facebook din ako dito, but
correct.
again, meron din kasing regional filters, I think.
Yeah, and I can even check who are your fact checkers in Scotland.
Right.
Okay, if you know the structure. So now we were forced to understand this entire structure so that we can actually assess it better. And from this we found out that Maria Ressa was actually the only fact checker in the early up to 2021.
Hmm.
Rappler was the only fact checker here in the Philippines, and they were acting as if they didn't know or they had nothing to do with it. They were the only fact checkers in the Philippines. And now they want to be they have recruited more. Nakapasok na dyan sino to?
Sa Verifile
Si
si
Vera Files nakapasok
yeah.
na. But okay, even if hindi fact checkers si Vera Files, one of them is in the board of that Pointer. There are only 15 people on the board of Pointer. Okay, 15 people guarding all the facts in the world. And one of
Then
them
they
is,
should be investigated.
and then who can investigate them, di
Sila
ba?
pala dapat ang kasuhan.
Kaya nga. And, but you cannot
Kasi
go there.
yung proximity ng ano eh ng
But,
possible na criminal act nasa kanila. Kasi sila mismo yung nag-a-act on it.
but they're just agents of a principal. You do not file a case against the agent. You file a case against the principal. Di ba? The
Pero
principal
katulad
here,
ng 'di ba ano, 'di
no,
ba halimbawa
we
may
entered
mga
into a contract with
salary
Facebook.
scam police. Hindi
Mm.
naman yung presidente yung kakasuhan mo, yung police.
Because the police is the institution itself, di ba? And each policeman is
And
responsible for
in
this.
this case, if they're being fact checkers, it's becoming an institution.
No,
So
no,
we
no, no,
can
no.
nip it in the bud.
We did not enter into an agreement with the institution. With the
But
fact
is it
checkers,
not
we
an
entered into
implied
an
agreement with
huh?
Facebook? As soon as
What?
you register with Facebook, you have a contract.
Like Ahmed here has been there before their agreement with Pointer. The Pointer agreement only happened in 2017. We were here before, long before that.
Kasi kailangan ma-investigate how they choose who's the fact checker.
I think that is for them to deal with among themselves. But the fact here is we entered into agreement with Facebook, not with Maria Ressa. Now they chose Maria Ressa. That's their problem, di ba?
No,
They're
but she's
allowing
our
Maria Ressa.
problem. She's our
Yeah,
problem.
in fact, yes. In fact, yes. Actually, she's also Facebook's problem. You listen to her. How many times does she actually express her desire to destroy Facebook, to
Then we
make it,
go back to we have to actually call the attention of Zuckerberg
and you
to
can
get
only
her
call his
fired.
attention if you file a case against him. That
Ah,
is how the only way you can get his attention. No, he will not take you seriously if you will just write a letter of complaint. I don't think so. Those letters of complaint will never reach him. But a case for $1 billion will definitely reach him.
pagka mass complaint 'yon and make it really really public sa media.
Yeah, I hear. And it was, if it's filed here, what can he do? Di ba? He has to come
And
here.
I won't be surprised if there are other countries who are facing the same problems for their
Yeah,
gatekeepers.
he's actually facing a case right there in England right now for the same thing. It's not just in the US. He's being sued in almost all countries. He's being sued for $7 billion in Myanmar. Why don't we sue him here?
Why not make it an international plea?
No, because there is no international court. There is only a court here in the Philippines. He did not violate any international law. There is no international law on media or your freedom of
But
speech.
sir,
What? Go to the
but
United Nations? Wala kang
di ba
choice but
meron
to
na ba,
file it here.
but it's just cogens, hindi ba? Hindi ba
I know
it's a
I
customary
wouldn't,
law.
but I wouldn't. Why would I worry myself about the problems of Malaysia when we already have our problems
No,
here?
I
We
mean
have our own courts here.
what I mean is under international law, you
Uh,
can actually have uh
Custodians. Yeah, that's I know what
yeah,
you're talking about.
I know. We know
so
what you mean.
kailangan yung it's a global thing that
Yeah, it
it's
Yeah,
is.
but
going against a movement that goes against that monopoly of information.
yeah, but there
Yeah,
is no
I
global
agree
court.
with both your points. I agree that that a suit has to be filed against Facebook here domestically, as well as later on when there is enough critical mass, file a case internationally. Um,
Hmm.
what we need here in order to file a case is evidence is well within the control of the one you are suing.
Well,
For example, I can,
you can't have a bigger evidence than Reza herself. She's
No,
publicly
your personal.
internationally peddling all this news, all this information that are false.
yes, I mean, right. What I meant by evidence
Unquestioned.
is, for example, my account that Facebook unpublished only solely on the basis of a mass report uh, done by an organization on Facebook, also a group that we criticized because they were so completely wrong with their in their interpretation of the constitution of a certain constitutional provision, and we were right about it, and even the president agreed with us and disagreed with them, and we were right, but I wasn't published, and I have intellectual property in that account. I have all my poetry if ever I wrote one, which I did. I think I wrote several things there and pictures and stuff that I couldn't have any access anymore because they deleted
Yeah.
that. That is a really good cache of evidence that they just threw away, and I can't do anything about it anymore. Much less use it as evidence against them in a suit.
Hmm.
Diba?
Yeah,
That's a lot
and
to think about. Oh yeah, I'll leave you guys to
yeah. In
talk.
fact, okay.
I'm so sorry. I have so many
Don't
questions.
move, don't move. I will just show you this one. I was looking for this, kaya hindi ako makagalaw. You see this? I don't think you were still, you were already following us when we
I've
presented
been
this.
following, but I don't get to see all kasi sa time
You,
wise.
you've seen this, for
Uh,
example?
just give her the link to that
Okay,
para ano,
wait
we
lang.
can edit
Okay.
because it's getting too long.
Yeah, yeah. Yun.
Yeah.
So yun. So you see, they're being
I will just
investigated. Huh?
review it again later yung
Look at
what
the
it
names. Look at the names. Look
Oh
at the
yeah.
names. Just look at this one. Just this page. Okay.
okay,
There. You see?
I've
You see there?
screenshot.
You see their targets
Yeah.
here. You see it?
Yeah.
The sources of disinformation. Okay. Who is this? SAS. Who is this?
Yeah.
Mocha Uson.
I
Huh?
had restrictions because I shared stuff from SAS, from
Lari Gino.
Trixie.
Trixie. There.
Uh
You see that? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's it.
Di ba?
That's the way they do it.
And this is
pero
a
sila yung
documentation.
may direct na injury sa kanila sa person nila. So maybe it's them that should lead any case to
Actually,
um
we are here in this Trixie Cruz because when they say Trixie Cruz-Angeles, they're talking about
Luminous.
Luminous.
yeah, yeah,
We are
yeah.
admins of Luminous,
I noticed that.
and we are admins of Luminous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what
So
happened there?
when you
If
put the
when
name there,
they only called Trixie because of Rappler, because Rappler has
uh,
been doing that to Trixie on some
uh,
other matter in the past.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
They just got used to it.
Mm.
Yeah, I've been following it, but I'm quite surprised na
You see,
hindi pa siya umabot.
this is what she
Eh, kasi
means when she
na-appoint
says
siya eh.
sources of information.
Yeah,
Na-appoint siya eh.
that also makes it complicated politically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, kami we don't we it is in the no in the page that she is on leave and she doesn't really right now she's hands off. Okay, this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
just us. Okay, in fairness, no one is controlling us in that aspect. in terms of content and everything. What we're doing on our own. Kami ni Ahmed.
I think
Okay.
the two of you are agreeing on the same thing.
Yes, yes, and
Yeah.
this is no. I'm just trying to emphasize. No, I'm just trying to emphasize that they have targeted people. They have targeted pages, and these are just some of them. Okay, and everything else that is connected to those things, and I think that involves all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. And with
Okay,
that,
so let's
let's
do this again. Awesome.
yeah.
Let's do this again.
No.
And
Yeah.
Uh,
any
Thank you very much
pointer.
for
Okay,
letting me in.
let's just let's just pointers. IFCN has received funding from
let's go,
Omija.
Jim.
If yes, yes, yes.
She
Okay.
has to go. She has to go.
Yep, we're
Right.
going. We're going
Bye.
also,
Thank
and
you
we're
very
All right.
saying
much.
bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Osing. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Do it again, okay? So, anyone else na bigyan lang natin ng ha, pare ko ito sila
Sige, sige. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so si Trump lied to the digital center, tried to stop it. Even the president of the United States couldn't stop it, diba? Francis A. wanted to ask, information in the news is absolute and uh, or in public are not absolute, and it changes. Yes, that's true. And what they're saying, yung mga revisionism, if it's really wrong, then why would you stick to it, diba? Social media is a different creature. Yes, it is. It is. And we discussed this. If you want to check that out, please look back at previous Pwede siguro tayo sumunod kay Mark Zuckerberg. I don't think he will read. He read something though. Yung memorializing that was actually my damn idea. True. How will Facebook know which is factual and which is false? Only God knows. Must be God. Di ba? For them to know. The fact checkers will be very good evidence. Yun, if we can dissect them and dissect their minds and then really get their their minds are here in these documents that they publish. So good night, good night, good night, good night, Pro Duterte, yan ba? Masyadong halata. Yeah, Pro Duterte lang. Ako ha, I'm not even a Pro Duterte guy. I've been out and vocal. I'm not a DDS. I even wrote Barry Gutierrez during the elections of 2016. I will make this admission. Wrote him an email directing him to certain things that I found wrong in Duterte's campaign. But he didn't reply. He's my friend, by the way. So, Attorney Ahmed, music?
Yeah, music, music. Salamat po sa panonood sa inyo.
Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat for your patience. Bago yan. Music, kung gusto niyo magpadala ng Gcash, ito yung number.
Yeah, yeah.
And ang ating music ngayon ay dito tayo sa malungkot.
Alon ng kapalaran, tumigil na sa iyong pang-aabuso sa akin. Ako'y nasindak ng alurin sa baybayin ng kahirapan at kalungkutan. Ang tindi ng sinabi ng aking kapalaran, wala na akong pag-asa, yurap na aking dangal, wala nang lugar pa akong masisilungan. O alon ng kapalaran, sana'y tumigil na. sinabi ng aking kapalaran. Wala na akong pag-asa, yurak na aking dala. Wala nang lugar pa akong masisilungan. O walo ng kapalaran, sana'y tumigil na.